Okay, we'll have him back on. Dave Archer again, Big 12 Radio Network. Dave, you were kind of discussing kind of where we were. We lost you in midterm. You could finish your thought on that.
Yeah, just concerned about the perimeter people that are going to be involved with the game. I do think they have some really good protocols in place as the Big 12 and probably other conferences around the country. We focus obviously on what's going on in the Big 12 and what Commissioner Bowlesby and all the outstanding ADs in our conference.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Fake to Smith. Williams deep for Sanders again. Makes the catch at the 10. Touchdown.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
We are seeing another spectacular effort by Marino, who fires. Touchdown!
You know what the Jets are thinking? He's going to take the ball and throw it into the ground. They stopped. They all stopped.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
With the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Tim Duncan from Wake Forest University.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Ward to a case freeway. He's underneath. The San Antonio Spurs have won their first NBA championship.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. We will have a short little intro segment because former Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl MVP, former All-American from Grambling, and also former Tampa Bay and Washington Redskins quarterback Doug Williams will join us here in less than 5 minutes. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, and I'm David Smoke. A couple of sports topics news. Chris Woodward, Rangers manager, has named Lance Lynn the opening day starting pitcher. And I don't know about you, that's something that normally would have been added to the mix sometime the last week or so in March. That's refreshing to hear something like that. NBA was supposed to host their draft today. I just heard the call of the draft. This would have been NBA draft day, which we don't know whether or not it may include at some point Jared Butler or Macio Teague. So that's something that was supposed to happen today. So a couple of things in sports. One that will happen, at least we think, opening day of the Rangers and Lance Lynn. The other one is the draft was supposed to happen. Hall of Fame football announces they're going to combine 2020 and 2021 together. That's going to be forever. 2020, right, guys, is that massive class of everybody.
Yeah. So there's going to be 28 people possibly in next year's class, which will be a huge, there'll be two different enshrinements apparently. They might have to do that. I would say take it over 3-4 days and just do a different one every night so they don't just drag on and on.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to split it up, obviously. I know some pretty hardcore NFL fans, and I don't think that even they would be excited by the prospects of 28 inductees all at once or even over 2 days. I still think that's way too much. I think going 3 or 4 days is too much too. So I don't know what the solution is for how they're going to handle that. I would imagine, though, it's going to be at least a couple of days over that Hall of Fame weekend. I think we're going to see, with what all we're missing out on this year, I think we're going to see, barring what Corona looks like in 2021, a lot of, events get souped up a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Hall of Fame kind of soup up their event next year if they're able to hold it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, but that's a massive amount of names. It's hard enough to go through 5 to 7, but to have 28 possibly is crazy. John Swofford's going to retire as the ACC commissioner following this next calendar school year. Matthew Baldwin, quarterback who transferred to TCU from Ohio State, has given up football due to injuries. And also Mavericks' Willie Cauley-Stein growing list of NBA players opting out of the restart with the NBA when that happens in the month of July. We are now joined by Super Bowl 22, All-American quarterback, Super Bowl 22 most valuable player, All-American quarterback at Grambling, and also now a part of the Washington Redskins organization, Doug Williams on SicEm365 Radio. Doug, thank you very, very much for being a part of the show. You have been extremely busy. You just came back, I believe, from the Black Quarterback Summit. What was the in the end? What did you accomplish with that summit?
Well, I tell you, we've been doing it for 3 years. This is our third year. Unfortunate, because of the COVID-19, we wasn't able to do it in person. But I think what we was able to accomplish this year, opposed to the last couple of years, was the fact that we got a lot of eyes because of the Zoom technology and everything. We got a lot of the owners looking, general managers, head coaches, and got a chance to add more people in there. I got a lot of calls on yesterday talking about the summit, saying it's almost better than any coaching clinic they ever been to because of the lineup we had, the people that we had in there and who was exhibiting, the attendees. When you got a lineup like we had, I thought it was great. And our whole idea was to show, and I'm sure you all have heard all the time when you talk about minority coaches, people always say there ain't none in the pipeline. And what we wanted to show, and I think we did a good job of that, is eliminate that old cliche pipeline and realize it wasn't the pipeline as much as the valve not being open. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we got a chance to empty that pipeline with that valve being open and showing that we got guys that are capable of being head coaches, quarterback coaches, and offensive coordinators in the National Football League if given the opportunity. That's all we ask for. We're not looking for a handout, looking for opportunity, because the guys that we had in that room and the guys that we had out there can hold their own. But you won't know that if you don't get the opportunity.
When you came into the league and you won the Super Bowl, did you ever feel a burden, a responsibility? What was it as a black quarterback who finally broke through to break the silly stereotype that existed for so long?
Well, when I came to the league, it was I was joking about with somebody the other day. Tom Brady is the quarterback down in Tampa, and he's wearing number 12. I was joking with somebody that when I broke in Tampa in 1978, Tom Brady was 1 year old, and I was wearing number 12.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that, you're talking about 40-something years ago, 42 years ago, actually, to be exact. You can imagine what the climate was like with a black quarterback playing National Football League in Florida. I didn't look at it as a burden. I didn't look at it as pressure. I looked at it from an opportunity to do what I had already done at Grambling in high school, and that's a chance to play football. I was fortunate enough to have people like Eddie Robinson and James Harris who kept me grounded from the standpoint of not worried about what people say or what you read or what people, feel about you. You go out and do you. And I've always done that. So I didn't feel that pressure. I just felt about just having the opportunity to do what I love doing. That was given the opportunity to play football.
Doug, with what's been going on in the country the last few weeks, did that add another element, so to speak, to the conversations? And what are your thoughts on the landscape as we see it now, the conversations, if anything, maybe opening up a bit more? Do you think that helps in the movement as far as, what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're here and the way we got here, over the last few weeks with the killing of these African-American ladies and guys. But we're here. And I think it has opened up a lot of eyes. I think the NFL, along with Troy Benson and the commissioner for the last 2 years was trying to get that with the owners and let them understand that with most teams having at least 70% of their players being African-American or minority, you're just looking for more representation in those positions. And it's such a buddy-buddy type of league and a friendship league. A lot of times as an African-American, you get locked out. And what we're hoping that a lot of the owners, the head coaches, and general manager was changed from that standpoint and look at who can really coach. Not that I got a buddy over here who got a son who wants to get in the game. I think that's what's been going on for the last umpteen years. And now with all these guys out there with the experience of coaching, hopefully they get an opportunity to show that they belong in the National Football League.
Doug, I'm 61 years old, and I was 9
You're
years
young,
old.
man.
Yeah, I know. I am, and I feel young. But in 1968, I'm 9 years old, and I see what the country at the time was going through and, of course, the unfortunate assassination of Martin Luther King. And I'm 9 years old. I'm thinking maybe we're going to get better as a country. That's a long time ago. That's 52 years ago. How do we keep from just having something that is a groundswell that then eventually fades away? And how do we keep the movement for everybody when it comes to equality and make sure we push through it?
Well, let me say this. You was 61. I mean, you was 9. I was 13. So I'm really aware of that time. And living in the South, too, it was probably a little tougher. And what I look at today compared to yesteryears is the fact that I think this is the second coming of the civil rights movement. But the good thing about this movement is so diverse. Back in '68, if a white man or woman was walking with blacks back then, there's a chance that they might not see the light of day the next day. You know, it's not like that today. And you got a lot of younger people. You don't have a lot of older folks walking in these protests. You got a lot of younger people. And I know, people will always say when they looting and they doing that. That's a small part of the protest. When you look around this country and then you look outside of this country, you're talking about the greatest country in the world, supposedly, and the countries surrounding us are protesting because of what is happening here in the United States. I think we got to get to the point that and let's face it, it's not a white problem. I'm gonna say it's not a black problem as much as a white problem from the standpoint when they really stand up as a person, a mortality, human being, and look at everybody like the same way. Coach Rob used to always say to us, every man is born equal, and that is right, to become unequal. But just because you might be privy to an opportunity that other people are not privy to, that don't mean you look down on it. You should want to reach up and help everybody. And I think that's the way it got to go. And to see the young people out there marching, black and white marching together, holding up Black Lives signs and hand in hand, that speaks volume to me. And hopefully the older part of this country will look at it from that standpoint. Because at the end of the day, racism is homeschooled. I really believe that. I think that, you look at little kids today, go to school with each other, they don't know anything about racism. They play together, they hug together, they hold hands. But when they get older, that divide starts coming. Where that divide come from? That divide has to come from somewhere other than young people. And I think we got to get away from that.
You played for one of the great head coaches in college football history, in Eddie Robinson. What kind of influence was he on your life?
Oh, man. Sitting back here for years now, Coach Rob, bless his soul. Just thinking about the opportunity, sitting in the room the first time. I remember sitting in the first meeting when I first got to Grambling, man, and looking around at all the guys in there. And Coach, when he spoke to you, when he got through talking to you, Coach gave you confidence that you can do anything you put your mind to. He always said one thing: we gonna go to class, we're gonna go to church, and we're gonna graduate, and we're gonna end up being good citizens in America. Nobody waved the American flag better than Coach Robinson. He wanted you to understand, and we're talking to a man who's way older than we were. Mm-hmm. So we know at his age, and you look at today, he went through so much more stuff than we did, but not one time I ever heard Coach Rob tell James Harris, who went to the league before me, he even tell me where he never said that it's going to be tough on you, man, because you're black. He didn't believe in that. He believed that in America was the only place that's going to give you an opportunity. So you learn how to be a man, you learn how to survive, with all the things that Coach Robinson gave you. If there was any word in the dictionary of being a mentor, Coach Rob and a guy that instilled some confidence in you, Coach Rob's name belongs beside it.
Doug, did I read correctly that there is a movie in the works about your life?
Yeah. It's something that's actually we've been working on for about the last 10 to 12 years. But even after the Super Bowl in 1988, I don't know if you remember the movie Lonesome Dove.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And the lady, Suzanne DePass, was the producer of that movie. So after the Super Bowl, she actually approached me about buying the rights to my story back then. I didn't feel like it was that much of a story per se. And over the last 10 years, we've talked to quite a few people, and then Will Packer, who has done about 10 movies, Night School, Girls Trip, and Think Like a Man. And being from St. Pete, Louisiana, Florida, his family was big Bucs fan. He always said how his family was crazy about Doug Williams. So we talked about 2 years ago, and the fact that he had never done a sports movie, it wasn't a big thing to him because he was busy doing other movies. But over the last 3 to 4 months, we really got together. He said, "Hey, it's time, man. We got to do this." And we hammered it out and came to agreement. Now we're in the process of trying to find a writer. He's interviewing writers so we can get together and put it together. And don't know when it's going to happen, but the good part about it is it's happening.
Doug Williams, Grambling University, drafted first in 1978 by the Buccaneers. Redskins Super Bowl MVP when they hammered Denver in what was the most perfect quarter in maybe history of football at any level.
I watched the whole thing today.
42 points throwing. Hey, and I'm a lifelong, I grew up in the days of Sonny Jurgensen and saw some bad football. And then, of course, and Doug, it brings me to this, and you're now very much entrenched inside the organization, thank God, because they needed some help and direction. Will the Redskins ever win again at a consistent level?
That is a great question. I think that's something we're working on. I look at this football team today. We're a lot better on paper, and everybody's good on paper. Let's take that back. But when I look at the defense side of the football, I really think that we have something to build on next. Because if you don't score, you got a chance to win. And I think once Dwayne Haskins get in the groove, which I think Dwayne gonna be a pretty good quarterback, and get some people to protect him, some people from run the ball. I do think we get to that point. But every team, if you don't do it in a certain period of time, you get old, and you got to start purging your roster. So hopefully, in this window over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll be a real competitive football team and put us back in that situation that whenever you play the Redskins, you're going to have to play a game.
I'm fascinated with the USFL and the history of it, Doug, and I can't let a former USFL player come on the show and not ask a question. Your team had one of the more unique experiences that you were in Oklahoma, and then you were in Arizona, and then the league folded. What was that like, that whole 2 years for you guys?
Well, for me, I started in '83, and I didn't play in '83. I didn't play no football in '83. I didn't play in Tampa. I didn't play in the USFL. So '84, we went to Oklahoma in Tulsa, spent a year there, and I tell you, it was unique because we did not play. We played 8 home games, and out of 8 home games, it was either rain, it was really sleet, or it was either snow. Now, one time we played in clear weather in Tampa. In Tulsa. But it was an experience. We didn't have a lot of talent, a lot of depth, but we had some good football players. And I think the USFL as a whole, if you check the records and look at how many guys that came out the USFL and went to the NFL, Steve Young, Kevin Brand, and Reggie White, all of us played in the USFL and went on to play in the National Football League and do something good for ourselves.
Doug Williams, our guest on SicEm365 Radio. How Paul asked about maybe what was the burden when you first came into the NFL. My question is, because of what you've accomplished, because of what you did as a player and what you represent as a man, how powerful a voice do you feel like you have? Not that you're saying that, but it appears as if more people are listening to you than ever before.
You know, and my wife she was sitting down the other day. She was talking because the last week and a half or so, I've done a tremendous amount of interviews, and I don't know. I don't think a man really know why. You know, I always say some things are taught and some things are caught. From a leadership standpoint, I think because of what I've been through and where I am now, the success that I've had, and how I get to where I am, and always with a straight shooter, I think that helps a lot. And especially when it comes to things like we're going through today, is always want to get an opinion. You know, the only thing I hate is sometimes people want you to get in a situation where they want to say something for a soundbite. I'm not a soundbite guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy that wants to answer you straight, and might not give you exactly what you want, but that's not what I'm thinking about. What you want, I'm gonna be thinking about how I view it and how I see it, and that's where I've always been. And if they want to force the leadership role up on me, you know, I think my shoulders are big enough, and I just handle it.
News today that Drew Brees is going to sponsor the Black College Football Hall of Fame event. Of course, a couple weeks ago, Drew, had a talk with his teammates about kind of having those uncomfortable conversations and being more of an ally. What was that like for you guys to get at the Black College Football Hall of Fame, the backing of Drew Brees, and what does that mean for bringing in more people to sponsor this event?
Well, you know, Drew Brees is a prime example, the epitome of what I was talking about earlier. See, Drew Brees, when that happened to Drew Brees, I honestly don't think he was looking at it from, I'm against blacks and I'm this and that. Drew Brees was looking at it the way he saw it. And you got to give him credit. That's how he saw it. But he had an opportunity to sit down with his teammates and talk it out. Drew Brees did what I think has to be done. As a white person who really do not understand the plight of the average black man, you're not gonna see eye to eye. I don't expect for you to see eye to eye. But there's no harm in sitting down talking and giving you points, and then you might open your eyes to see where you're coming from. And I think Drew Brees being a man and being able to understand and just listen to his wife now, I think they all say, you know what, they're right. And there's no shirt off of Drew Brees' back to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do my part and making sure that equality is met. And we certainly appreciate the fact that Drew Brees looked at this. This ain't paying no fee because of what you said. You paying the fee because of what you believe. And I do think, Drew did that out of his heart, not out of guilt. And because over the last few weeks, he has stood up and meant what he said from the first time. I mean, he gonna always have his grandfather in mind, I'm sure. But at the same time, he gonna look at it from the other side now, like the Malcolm Jenkins and Michael Thomas, and with Spike Lee went down there to talk to him, Shaq O'Neal went to talk to him. They had an open forum in their Zoom room with all the players, and everybody got a chance to talk. That's what has to happen when everybody open up and say what they feel, and everybody ain't gonna feel the same. But once you say what you feel, then you put it all together, you might come out on the same accord.
One note, Doug Williams, as far as a Central Texas connection, his first touchdown in that 42-point explosion, Ricky Sanders from Belton High School, born in Temple. Ricky Sanders hit that little flare pattern, and it was off, right, Doug? Was that like a blur? That seemed like there is an avalanche, a blur of what you guys were doing at that moment in that second quarter?
Well, and this is something that I don't know what a lot of people really know. If you keep up with football, you would say a perfect TD drive would be what? 10, 11 plays, kill the clock, score 7 points. Well, we was fortunate enough to score 35 points in 18 plays. Only 18 plays, we scored 35 points. The first TD, the Ricky Sanders, actually the play was just a 7-yard hit. But what happened was Mark Haynes made a mistake and came up and tried to press. And, the offense was, if you come up to press, no help. you don't run the hits, you run by the guy. And Ricky Sanders was off to the races. So after that, it was Katie Bartido.
Doug, our last question, and thanks for your time today. Do you believe that we can be better as a country? Do you feel like you mentioned this is like 1968 or that time period, part two? Do you feel like we could actually make a difference across the board?
I think you hit the nail on the head. We can. And when I say we, I'm speaking of the people of this country can make it a better place if we look at it. We might not look at it through the same lens, but we can take a tissue and wipe our lens out and see it clear as to what's really going on. You know, we can't continue to live in a very divisive situation. That's where we got to get off. I'm not saying live with nobody, but you don't have to look down on anybody. I think that's the most important thing. And until the conversation is had, quit sweeping racism up under the rug. You know, we got to pick that rug up and put it in the dustpan and throw it out the window. I think that's what we got to do. And that's going to take me, you, black and white, Chinese, Japanese, anybody who lives in this country. It's going to take all of us to make it right.
What a great way to start the show with you, Doug, for what you represent again and what you did as a player in college and the pros, and also hoping to get the Redskins organization back to where it needs to be. Thanks for your time, sir. Appreciate it. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
You too. That's Doug Williams, Super Bowl 22 quarterback champion, MVP. Washington hammered Denver. They were down in that game 10-0 early. And then he hits that throw, that little, like you said, it was supposed to be a hit, throws a little deep fade. Ricky Sanders gone. And Gary Clark gone. It was constant, over and over and over again. And they win the Super Bowl back when they knew how to. All right, coming up next, Richmond Webb, All-American at Texas A&M. A guy that maybe one day will start to get a little push for being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame if you look at the Pro Bowls and All-Pros. Couple of neat notes that he gave me about himself. Plus, of course, he was really good with the Dolphins, was what I'm talking about as well. Richmond Webb joins us next on SicEm365 Radio. Heavy-duty product. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, operated, family-owned since 1943. Metal buildings. And I mean, you talk about making sure that you get the right equipment, you get right product, you also get the right offers, suggestions on design, and providing you with reliable contractors. That's what Pioneer Steel and Pipe will do. That's what they have been doing, and they have been in business since 1943. They offer the fastest turnaround time in the business on metal building offers, pipe inventory that's massive, giving you many options on building a nice fence or even an entryway, and several cost-effective options as well, including a large inventory of the number one quality used pipe. Diameter, 24-inch diameter structural pipe, including beams, channel iron, flat iron, angle iron, square tubing, and more. I mean, bulky, heavy, big. And they'll deliver it to the site in which you're building. They'll deliver it and unload it for you. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. 1943, family-owned and operated, locations in Waco and in Bryan. Open on Saturdays, 8 until noon. PioneerBoys.com.
Well, I have to tell you that we're pretty proud here at Pickup Outfitters. The mayor of the city of Waco chose to deputize Pickup Outfitters into the Waco Masked Police Force. Now, we weren't necessarily looking to be deputized. We've been pretty busy fighting truck nudity, but hey, we're law-abiding citizens. The threat of a $1,000 fine if we didn't join the Masked Police Force also had something to do with it. So please, bring your mask with you to Pickup Outfitters. And if you don't have one, we'll provide one previously unused. And we have a couple of other requests. First, wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose but not your eyes, especially when driving to Pickup Outfitters. Second, we do have hand sanitizer, which you are welcome to use on your hands. Do not try to drink our hand sanitizer. Even if you add orange juice, it's still not a mimosa. And third, we have everything you need to outfit your naked truck. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check us out online at createacommotion.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, he was an all-Southwest Conference tackle at Texas A&M, and if you look at his career, there has to be a movement, at least there has to be discussion. 7-time Pro Bowl, twice first-team All-Pro, 4 times All-Pro, All-Decades team in the 90s. It's in the Dolphins honor roll. And Rookie of the Year in 1990, Richmond Webb from Texas A&M and the Miami Dolphins. And Richmond, what nobody knows, not even my co-hosts Paul and Craig, we're not even going to talk football. We're going to talk gardening, right? You and me, we're going to talk about like bushes and trees and flowers. And that's, I'm going to kind of just start it off differently. That's kind of something that allows you to kind of just get away from everything and just kind of be at peace. Is that right?
It is. It gives me time to meditate. And I guess with this COVID situation going on, I wouldn't have never really thought to do it. But, with being, at home and having to, just go out only necessary. I had to find something to do, and I started, and I really enjoy it. So I just did a couple of containers, some bell peppers and tomatoes, and but I think next year I'm going to step on out there a little bit more and really try to get it going.
When you got to A&M, it was right at the end of, if I'm correct, right at the end of Jackie Sherrill and right at the beginning of R.C. Slocum, where that team really kind of started to take off. What was that like to see them? Because that was a time where A&M really kind of ran the Southwest Conference for a little bit.
Yeah, it was great times. Like you said, Coach Slocum he recruited the Dallas area, and I'm from Dallas, and that was the guy that recruited me to come to Texas A&M, and he was the defense coordinator, and Coach Sherrill was the head coach, and I was spent 3 years up under Coach Sherrill and the last 2 up under Coach Slocum. But we had a great run. We went to we won 3 Southwest Conference titles, and went to 3 Cotton Bowls, and then my senior year went to the Sun Bowl. So nothing to complain about there. We had a great run, and I played with some really good teammates.
What kind of tabs do you still keep on the Aggies? And if you do, what do you think of the job Jimbo Fisher's done so far?
Well, I think Jimbo's done pretty good. I think we'll really start to see dividends this will be his third season, and I think what he really brought to the table was we've been, I know for sure, I want to say top 10 recruiting classes both years he's been there. I want to say maybe finishing around 6th or 7th each year, and to be competitive in the SEC, and we're in the West with Alabama, Auburn, LSU, so those are teams that are pretty consistent, but it's just a tough division. But if you're going to want to try to win the SEC West and have a chance to go to the SEC championship, you got to recruit players, and I think he's done a great job of doing that so far. So I think we definitely head in the right direction.
It is hard to ever be in the discussion for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but your name has been brought up a little bit. And I look at your credentials: Rookie of the Year, All 90s team, and then you were All Pro 4 times, Pro Bowl 7 times, and you're a part of the Miami Dolphins Hall of Honor as well, or honor roll. Richmond, has that ever been something that you've thought much about?
I thought about it. I definitely think I got the credentials. The thing is what I think other people need to bring it up. And like you guys and other shows I've been on, when they start to make mention, and the writers continue to hear about it. The tough thing about it is being an offensive lineman. A lot of times you don't have a lot of stats, so unless you just really remember that player, I think that's a lot of times, offensive linemen get looked over because, you look at receivers and the way the offensive systems are now, a guy can finish with 15,000 yards, receive and stuff like that. So when you're competing against, the skill positions, this and that, unless guys just really watch the trenches or whatever like that, or remember, some of the great battles you had against some great defensive linemen, it's a little tougher, but my name has started to come up more and more, so I feel good in the direction that it's definitely headed.
You were really there. I mean, Marino's last run as well with the Dolphins, and that team has not been good since all of you guys left. What's been the problem in Miami for them to get back on top? And free agency-wise, they got people lined up that always want to come there and play and live in Miami, so it's not that. I mean, what's been the issue?
Well, I think one of the issues was part of it was finding the right coach, which I think Coach Flores is the guy. I think at times we possibly overpaid for, big time name free agents and didn't pan out when they got there. So it's been a combination of things, but I've actually met Coach Flores last year. I went up for the Dallas game to play the Cowboys, so really impressed with him. I was at the draft last year in Nashville, and just the way he orchestrated the draft, trade down, really try to get guys for value, but not draft a guy based on hype or anything like that. So, and the other thing I liked was he came from the system up under Belichick at New England, and him and the general manager, they seem like they work hand in hand, and it's not they work as a team versus I'm responsible for bringing this guy in, or I'm the guy that's turned it around. And the thing I noticed last year was they kind of cleaned house, and if you want to be there, it was going to be about the team and not about an individual player. So I think the mindset is right, and we had almost 15 draft picks this year, and I'm really, really happy the way he's really building the team. So I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. And other thing is Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay now, so we definitely should have a better chance of possibly having a shot at winning the division.
Yeah, I think you're right on with Flores. I think he's going to be tremendous as long as he's got the time to build what he wants to build. But obviously, Richmond, the Dolphins family, in mourning here recently with the passing of Don Shula. I know you've probably been asked a million times from a million people about it, but since we got you on with us, what are your thoughts on the passing of Coach Shula?
Well, he just meant so much to guys that played for him. He was responsible for bringing me there. He was already a Hall of Fame coach, and I'm just a drop in the bucket compared to some of the Hall of Fame players he's coached, throughout his career. But he was a coach that if you kind of look at every decade, he had winning seasons in each decade, and that's something that's really tough to achieve. But he was more than a coach, and he kind of, I can remember when I was there and as a young player, but he was always huge at giving back, charitable work. He was a philanthropist. And even after he finished coaching football, he transitioned into continue to do that, but then, opening up steakhouses. So he just had a system and it stuck to it. But he was just successful basically at everything that I know that he tried to do. I think the tough thing was with this COVID situation, a lot of the players and stuff wasn't able to go back and really, pay respects with, COVID going on. I'm sure they're going to do something later on, but we just don't know. The numbers are spiking up again. But I know in Miami they're going to do something for him to honor him and stuff like that. But just a great all-around man. He checked all the boxes, and I learned so much from him, and I'm forever grateful for having the opportunity to meet him and actually being coached by him and stuff like that. So, tremendous amount of respect for Coach Shula.
You went to Roosevelt High School, obviously A&M, and then the NFL. Richmond, was playing football always easy for you, and was that your first love, or was it something else?
I played football and basketball in high school, but when I say play basketball, let me clarify that. I was a guy that grabbed rebounds and block shots, so I wasn't like a huge scoring machine, but I just really loved playing basketball. But football was the way that, I knew that was going to be my opportunity to possibly get a scholarship and play. And, the thing is, in high school, it's a little easier, but you get to college and you start seeing all these guys the exact same size as you or bigger or whatever. And it's an humbling experience awakening, but you got to reprove yourself, because once the recruiting season is over, you get there and you like, you might be a 4-star, 5-star guy, but they got 6 or 7 of them. So what's the big deal? So, that I was, we had a really good group at Texas A&M, and I really got along and formed bonds and relationships that, we still have today. So, I definitely know I made the right decision going there.
Well, you were really good at it. There's no question about it. But now you are involved in moving freight with a transportation company, rental property. We mentioned the gardening and what you're doing with that. You keep you pretty busy, even with what's been the last 3 or 4 months with most of the shutdowns or some of the suspensions?
Yeah, pretty decent. Rental property, that's a good thing. Somebody has to have somewhere to stay. So I've been fortunate that people have been able to continue to pay their rent, because I know a lot of people got furloughed or whatever. So it was truly a blessing that the people that I have in my properties, they were able to continue to, pay their rent stuff. So that's truly a blessing. And then, I got a little transportation to do that. So that's been steady. That's a good thing about that. And other than that, just spending a lot of time with the family. And my youngest daughter, she's a senior in high school, so she'll be going to A&M this fall. And, her senior year kind of was different because, well, they have a prom scheduled for like July, but they're supposed to have a ceremony August 1st. So everything has kind of just been rearranged or, put on hold. But for the most part, we're doing good, just doing what they ask us to do, and just, wear my mask and wash my hands and stuff like that, and just, only move when I have to and just kind of hang around the house. So, but it hadn't been too bad. I'm kind of getting used to being around the house. At first, it was a little rough if you kind of used to moving around and say, okay, everybody got to sit still. But I've kind of gotten used to it. But yeah, we're making it. I guess that's what I can say.
Stay safe. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Again, we have a couple of Hall of Fame voters that we have as weekly guests. John McClain of the Houston Chronicle is one of them. I'm going to bring you up.
Okay.
And continue to try to pound that name out there for you. I'm sure that eventually it'll be in the discussion again. Thanks for your time, Richmond. We appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. You have a great day. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me on the show.
Richmond Webb, his I would think it would be his cousin or his nephew, Jamarcus Webb, was on the Dolphins. If you look at his Wikipedia page, it still says Dolphins, but I don't see him on their roster. He played at Navarro. He played at Mesquite Horn, I believe, which we covered. Craig, we would have covered some of his games when he was at Mesquite Horn when he played against schools out of East Texas. And then he went to play college ball. And I've gone blank on where it was. Was it Texas? Yeah, it was UT.
But by the way, my father had the chance to meet Richmond Webb. My father, the dyed-in-the-wool Aggie, and he had a football that he had, all the Aggie. We would go to Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Any Aggie inductee or any Aggie, great that was there, we'd have him sign. And we straight up lost Dad one night for about 25 minutes. And those nights, Smokey, for us when we're doing our show, you kind of ping pong around and everything. And so my mom comes to me and says, "We haven't seen Dad in a half hour, and the banquet's about to start, and we got to find him." He had been talking to Richmond Webb
for
that
like
whole
ever.
time.
Yeah,
that whole time.
He went to Texas, and then he transferred to Navarro, and then ended up at West Texas A&M. He was like 6'7", if I remember, and he was a man back when he was playing high school ball at not Mesquite Horn. It was North Mesquite, out of what was back then when they were attached to the district in East Texas. Okay, coming up, John Bechtel, head football coach at Fairfield. We've had the legendary Doug Williams, A&M great Richmond Webb. Coming up, John Bechtel, head coach at Fairfield. Chance Casey at 5 o'clock today, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
If you're looking for the ultimate luxury style and power in a new SUV, don't settle. Check out the line of Cadillacs right now at Richard Carr Cadillac. Drive the Cadillac XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Right now, you can experience the thrill of owning the Cadillac XT4 for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They also have the line of Buicks, the Encore, which is considered the perfect crossover SUV with a quiet ride, roomy interior, and all the latest technology. Right now, get a Buick Encore for only $19,900. That means a saving of $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. You'll not only get great prices, but with a purchase, you'll also get free oil changes and in-town priority warranty service whenever you buy a car from Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni that wants the chance to earn your business, so stop by and see their safety-focused staff. They also have the daily disinfected showroom, but if you're a little antsy about that, they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Ram, a legend of loyalty. Alan Samuels, legendary customer loyalty. Now bringing you special Ram pricing to kick off summer. Pick the perfect Ram 1500 regular cab with special incentives, including $500 additional first responder bonus cash. Now just $22,990. Or pick up a loaded up new Ram 2500 HD Limited 4x4. The Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now with up to $12,000 in savings. Drive forward. Ram from Alan Samuels.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Texas board certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
This is SicEm 365 Radio. The SicEm 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
So we started the Richmond Webb segment with gardening. We're going to start the segment with Fairfield head football coach John Bechtel. He joins us now on SicEm 365 Radio with sunburn. He was on, was it the Frio River? Is that right, John, with the family?
That's exactly right. We had a blast.
How long of a trip is that down the river? I used to go down when it was whatever in the New Braunfels, wherever that. I don't know what is it, the Guadalupe? Yeah, I used to do that.
That's right.
And that was, and it was always a pretty good flow if it didn't have enough water in it. But what was the trip like? How long do you go on that river?
It kind of depends on where you put in. We went to a couple of different spots, and so the longest was about 3 hours. So
okay.
It's just right. I mean, the water's cold, the sun's hot, there's a lot of shade. It's just beautiful country. Just a good time to get away from everything.
John Bechtel, head coach at Fairfield, part of that movement from 4A to 3A. What was that like when you saw? You knew you were dropping, but once you saw it again officially in February, what was that like for the program?
Well, it's exciting. When we were in 4A Division II, we were always we were at the low end every time. So now we have more numbers, so it's a good thing. We're going to be playing with comparable numbers, so that's exciting. Our kids are excited. Our community is excited. It's just a good place to be right now.
When you're in that last couple, year or so, or a couple years of where your numbers are dropping down, and you're essentially kind of having to play up every week. When you're in 4A and you're dropping, that's a tough thing for kids and everything. But how much better does it make you in the long run now that you have officially dropped down to 3A?
I'm going to say this: as long as I've been at Fairfield, we've always been at the low number. Here we play. I'm just talking football here. We play both ways. So our skill kids and some of our linemen have to play both ways. In the 4A area, they don't do that a whole lot. So, it's nice because the 3A teams, they all play both ways. So we're equal playing field with these guys.
You've made a couple of the last three, actually, really since that state championship run with the great Larry Rose III and company. In 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, you've gotten a couple of rounds deep. You've taken some lumps during non-district or district to get to where you are. You've been able to get a couple of rounds deep. Have they actually been some of your best coaching jobs, in your opinion?
I think what's happened is the culture over here has changed. When we first got here, winning was okay. I think that when Daryl Piskey took over, he kind of changed that culture, and then I think we just kind of kept with that. But like you said, that 2013 bunch, a lot of these kids want to be the Larry Roses now. they see that you can be successful and how it was done. You know, it was done with a whole lot of hard work. So those things just don't happen. It takes a lot of effort to get there, and our kids are buying into that. So that's fun to be a part of.
Coach, I've asked just about every coach that we've had on about this, but with the disruption to the scheduling and just all the uncertainty going on right now, how have your young men handled, how resilient have they been handling all of these obstacles that have been thrown our way? And do you see any type of a benefit in being a smaller school during a pandemic like this?
Yes. To answer both of them, our kids have come back. You know, kids are resilient. They came back. Our numbers are unbelievable at our workouts. Being at a smaller place, yeah, I think so. You know, if we're in the Dallas area, I know Waco has kind of been hit with the COVID-19 kind of spreading a little bit. You know, it either comes a little bit later, or sometimes it just misses the small towns like a Fairfield, a Teague, and us over here. So we're hoping it continues to.
Yeah. Do you feel like, and I'm not trying to be uneducated here by saying this, but that there's been the flare up, the initial, and then there was, you know, people were kind of shut down, and then you've seen it again. Do you feel like it's going to be enough to where by the time August hits that we have seen the worst of it, or do you even talk about that among other coaches and ADs in the area?
You know, we do talk about those things, like what's it going to be like. I know we're going to meet with our district in July, but you know, one of the first questions I'm even going to say is so what happens if somebody at your school gets it and you close for 14 days?
Mm-hmm.
What happens to those games? You know, I mean, there's so many uncertain things going out there right now that are they going to make you hand sanitize before you get out on the field? You know, do you wear a mask? You know, there's so many questions that are out there, but you know, I sure hope they allow us to play football again.
Do you feel like and obviously the health of the student athletes and everybody involved, even the fans or students who are not part, you know, all the peripheral, if there's even people allowed to come to the stadiums, do you feel like, though, that we need something else as a distraction to get football? I don't care if it's badminton, something else that's live, that's playing, that it would help a lot of people?
I think so. I think personally, yes. And I agree with what you say. I don't care what it is. But now I like it to be football because I really love football.
Yeah, you do.
But it you know, what it does, it gives people something to look forward to. Because right now I think everybody's, you know, if you watch TV, I've actually quit watching the news so much just because I'm tired of hearing all the negative things. So if you fill your mind with a whole bunch of negative, everything becomes negative, you know. So we try to just talk about getting better every day, and we really don't talk about a whole lot of this stuff. You know, we tell them wash your hands, you know, cover your mouth, you know, do all those things that they're telling us to do. But we're trying to, you know, we're in the district with Teague now. That's a big deal over here in Fairfield and Teague.
Yeah.
Malakoff. I mean, we're talking about new teams and really just a lot of these things are exciting over here. So we're trying to look ahead and try not to talk about all the disruptions of the world.
Yeah,
I guess to say.
And I know we got to go too. And you do. Is it a breath of fresh air? You've played against some of these teams. Obviously, everyone knows the Groesbeck, Fairfield, but the Malakoff and Teague. Is it a breath of fresh air that it's kind of who you are now and who you're playing in the district?
It's exciting. I mean, these are old rivalries. So you know, when you play these guys, you know, they're working their tail off just like we are. But it's fun to play those because, you know, when you move up and you start playing like it's a long way to drive to Waco from Fairfield. You know, we're going to play some people that we don't have a lot in common with. So we like playing these guys over here. It's just fun. Our kids see these kids all the time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's old school rivalry. So it's exciting. Our whole community is excited about it.
You had the 15-1 team. You've gone 2 rounds deep every year other than that one, plus the 1 year in 16 where things just didn't go well. John,
That's
always
right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Glenn.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate what y'all do for high school football. Thank y'all.
John Bechtel, head coach at Fairfield. Every year he's been there since 2012. They've gone at least 2 rounds, except the 2-8 team in 16. But they've gone 2 rounds deep in 15-1 with Larry Rose on that great run in 2013. He's one of my favorite guys to talk to, Larry Rose III, who played at New Mexico State. It's 3:58. When we come back at 4, Max Olson, 4:30, Mickey Spagnola. An hour from now, former Baylor cornerback Chance Casey. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
We're in trouble again. Look at him backside. There he goes. He's got a first down and more.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Quick NFL note, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, will join us at 4:30. Chance Casey, former Baylor corner, at 5. We've heard from Doug Williams, the Redskins' great MVP. And then also Richmond Webb and John Bechtel, head coach at Fairfield. Jeff Pass, the NFL general counsel, telling teams that, advising them that they do plan on starting training camps on schedule July 28th for most teams. And also the league is active with the NFLPA in discussions on issues such as possible further reduction of the number of preseason games. We're now joined by Max Olson, the Athletic, who joins us on SicEm365 Radio. I saw your note. We have talked to Kyron Drones, who's from Shadow Creek, the quarterback who's committed to Baylor, as a part of the Elite 11. But there's a couple of Texas quarterbacks or Texas high school quarterbacks, is that right, that are uncommitted right now? Are they getting attention, and they just haven't committed, or what?
Yeah, so Elite 11 is actually happening this summer, even though there weren't any regional camps due to the shutdown and everything. So Elite 11 is happening next week in Nashville, and it actually reflects that this is a big year for high school quarterbacks in the state of Texas. There's 7 out of the 20 that are the best in the country come from the state of Texas. And I wrote this week about 2 of them, 2 guys that have kind of flown under the radar, Max Kopp from down in Houston, St. Thomas, and then Grayson James at John Paul II. 2 tapped kids who are very low rated, don't have Power 5 offers, but 2 guys that showed on tape that they're going to be late bloomers in this class who could be really good, and beat out 80 other kids to get a spot at the Elite 11 next week. So yeah, I wrote about 2 interesting guys. Grayson James, led John Paul to a pretty incredible season last year, and making it to the TAPS finals, a program that had never won more than 4 games before. And then Max Kopp, a kid who mostly played AAU basketball, really interesting athlete. All of his brothers played college sports and stuff like that. Got an offer from Houston, so he could be their guy. But it's going to be interesting to see how these kids, and Drone's one of them for sure, how they perform at this big time event here, considering these kids have really lost the opportunity they usually have, in April and May for college coaches to come see them.
Max, with the kind of wave of new positive tests coming across college football, some have huge numbers, some have very small right now, and obviously that's a fluid situation. Are you more nervous or about the same amount of nervous about the season starting on time?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm not so nervous about the results we're seeing right now, because you knew that these college football programs were going to have to work through some issues once they got players back to campus. And so, you've seen some numbers of schools having 30 guys quarantining. I've heard there are some schools that's as many as 50. I mean, it's all relative, and it's hard to tell right now if that's a good thing that you're solving it now and dealing with it now, or taking precautions, or if there are some folks where this is a little bit out of control. But honestly, as we go through deeper and deeper into this process, I just sort of at some point you start to wonder, okay, we got to figure out what the protocols are here from conference to conference. And, I suppose I start to wonder a little bit, is non-conference play going to be in jeopardy here a little bit, as it's just, you've got 130 different programs all over the country that are all dealing with this a little bit differently.
And Max, you highlighted one of those programs that's dealing with COVID right now with K-State, who has shut down their workouts. And I know that, some parents spoke as well. Just what did you kind of get from the K-State side of things and their experiences dealing with this?
Yeah, theirs is an interesting case because, they brought in more than 90 players on their first round, their veteran players, and had 0 positive tests. And so, everyone I talked to said they felt like K-State's had a good plan throughout. What happened was then they brought in a group after that, and some of their younger players, and you had a couple of guys who basically got tested on a Friday, went out and partied over the weekend, and then with a bunch of their teammates, and then on Monday, 2 of them tested positive, even though they were asymptomatic. They had no idea that anything was wrong. But by doing that, it kind of spreads through your football team, and that's how you go from 0 positive tests to 14 in a matter of 4 days. And because of that, you end up, shutting things down for 2 weeks to try and, figure out what you got to do to get back to 0 and make sure that those guys who test positive, some of them who are symptomatic, make sure that they get right and get healthy. So I don't think K-State did anything wrong, but I think it sort of highlights the problem that these college coaches have, and that is that, you have to remember this stuff is voluntary. Coming back to campus is voluntary, and it's hard to just control what they do 24/7, especially on the weekends when, you're trying to pull this off at a time when clearly everyone in the country is unfortunately kind of tired of being cooped up in their home.
And it was particularly interesting that you talked to some parents who had described, what Klieman had been doing and what he had said. And there was even the quote about how, if guys aren't responsible, they could have their scholarships pulled. And that's not something that they're threatening. It's just a possibility if they've got reckless guys that are spreading. But what was it like getting the parent side of things? Because they're kind of a lost factor when we're talking about players and coaches and assistants and all of that. But, the parents are obviously worried about their kiddos. So what kind of sense did you get from them about having a football player in today's college that's dealing with this coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the parents I spoke with, none of them had any complaints about how Kansas State's done anything. If anything, they were really appreciative that K-State had been transparent with them. And when they were starting to see a spike in positive tests, what they did was called a mandatory Zoom meeting of not just all the players, but also all their parents to make sure that the parents heard the message that was being shared with the players about just how urgent this was and that it needs to be taken seriously. So, I think Chris Klieman and Gene Taylor have done a good job of handling this, but this is just, unfortunately, this is just part of this process that everyone's dealing with where, you have a good plan, you try and execute the best you can, but there's going to be just some unexpected twists and turns with this. And unfortunately, this process, I mean, look, we know there's not going to be a vaccine anytime soon here. So you have to learn to manage it. And the virus certainly has the advantages. So.
It's interesting is that Baylor's had how many, Craig? 109?
They've had 8 positives out of 103 or 4 tests. Yeah.
So, and I just saw the note you put up, and this was from today. This is early this morning, that Iowa State reported only 4 out of 160. So there are some, there's no question. LSU, Clemson, Texas popped up with double digits and higher. But, one's too many. But at the same time, I don't know if that kind of story gets enough attention. That is, you're going to always, of course, lean towards there's 15 or 20, but that's a hell of a nice number for Jamie Pollard in Iowa State.
Well, Smokey, the thing that's really messed up about all this, honestly, is, I think Kansas State and Clemson and LSU and these schools that have disclosed the high numbers they're dealing with, they should be praised for being transparent. That's what we all want. Yeah. We all want this information to get out there. And the way this kind of works is that when you come out and say, we've had a lot or we have to shut down or whatever, you sort of get all of the negative attention on this stuff when really there's a lot of programs that aren't sharing what they're dealing with and in some cases could be dealing with something much worse and they just haven't gone public with any of it and are getting away with it. So I think the transparency here is important, and you gotta remember to appreciate the ones that even if they're dealing with a bunch, it's good that they're telling us, and you hope that they're telling the schools within these conferences and the trainers are telling each other, because there needs to be a lot of collaboration here between the smart folks in these athletic departments about what policies are working, what policies aren't, and how can everyone do a better job of handling this.
Is Vic Kenning, he's pretty much done, you think, the West Virginia defensive coordinator, with what KJ Martin put out on Twitter?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's, I think that West Virginia has handled this appropriately so far. When they see the tweets from KJ Martin, you react very quickly in terms of establishing that, Vic Kenning's going to go on administrative leave and you're going to have an investigation of this. I do think it's probably hard, no matter the results of that. It's just really tough for a coach, I think, to be labeled, be labeled a racist or have done racist things or things like that. It's hard to sort of come back from that and go back to recruiting and everything kind of goes back to normal. So you hope that there can be a peaceful resolution on that stuff, and that, sort of both sides are hurt on that. But hey, that's another example of kind of the world we're living in right now, where if a player feels that their coach is being insensitive and saying things that doesn't sit right with the black players in their position room, they're going to speak up, and that, in speaking up, there's a lot of power.
Max, state of the program this week is the Houston Cougars and Dana Holgerson. How did you feel after talking to them that they feel in their little plan last year to kind of use that redshirt rule differently than anybody else had so far?
Yeah, I think Houston's one of the most interesting group of 5 teams in the country this year, because I think they're going to be a lot better. Some people might find that hard to believe just because they went 4-8 last year, and then you lose De'Aaron King and a few other guys, and Josh Jones, who's a high draft pick. But they really like where they're going. I mean, they've brought in a ton of transfers from other programs. A lot of those guys had to sit out last season. Redshirting it gives you the chance to take guys like Braylon Jones and Keith Corbin and give them another year and give them even more physically developed. And so I think they feel like the plan they've had, as much as they took a lot of heat for it last year, when after 4 games when they started making some changes, I think they feel like it's getting their program back into a much more stable position here. And they really like their quarterback, Clayton Tune. They feel like there's not going to be, Dana has told me he thinks he's an NFL-looking guy. And so I think, Tune got a lot of experience last year, but also played with an injury the whole season that kind of slowed him down. But he's a dual-threat guy who I think is going to have a productive year, and I think I don't know that they flip that all the way to 8-4 because the schedule's pretty brutal in terms of the road games they play, but I think they're going to be a lot better.
Max, were you surprised at all about Anthony Cook deciding to transfer from Texas?
A little bit. I mean, he already tweeted that he was done a few weeks ago there, and so the effort to try and go back to school there and see if it'd work out, it was interesting. I actually talked to Tom Herman yesterday for the program on Texas, and they Cook was going to be battling Chris Adamora for the spur position in their defense, which was kind of the nickel role, and they really love Chris Adamora for that spot. So that could be a deal there where a really highly touted guy can kind of read the room there a little bit and feel like maybe I don't have a starting spot in this new defense in 2020, and maybe that's the motivation there to go look for some playing time.
Max, great stuff as always. Appreciate you being with us on Thursdays, and keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Max is on Twitter at Max _Olson with an O-N at the end of it. That question I asked yesterday about the 40 meters, which, of course, our young prospect, J.D. Pickell, said, no, you don't run 40 meters. It's 40 yards, but, again, that might just cost him a chance to ever co-host a show with anybody because he did that publicly on Twitter and embarrassed me. But bottom line is every 99.99999% of everybody reacted to it. It went forever. How many different – and one of the names that was brought up that I had never thought about, he never played much, Ike Williams.
Yeah, I don't know if I really ever saw
He's
Ike.
Big running back, right?
Yeah.
Freakish. Yeah. And I don't know how fast Robbie Rhodes really was. I mean, obviously he was a dynamic recruit for Coach Prowls and company. But that thing just never ended on SicEm365.com in the premium section, but also on Twitter. I'm still getting responses from that. And I think in the end, Corey Coleman, Tevin, and it's kind of a...
Lake has to be on there.
Who?
Lake.
Yeah. JJ Joe said Lake in pads.
On the website, we had Kalen Barnes, Lake Seastrunk, Katie Cannon, Tevin Reese, and Robert Griffin. And with 99 votes since yesterday, Kalen Barnes, 55% would win. I said the 100 on the website. Lake is at 13%. He's in third. Tevin in second with 16%. Robert Griffin, the third, at 10%. And Katie Cannon at 6%.
I mean, good options to have. You can go with any of those 4, really, and feel pretty good about your chances. But, yeah, it would be kind of hard to beat a Kendall, Tevin, RG3, Lake Seastrunk, relay team. That'd be pretty spicy for sure.
Gleason, the young kid from Mansfield, was getting a little love. Kalen Barr. And then there was a little familyism, a little nepotism. Mackenzie Fuller, don't forget about Clay. Don't sleep on. He ran like a 4.34 maybe on. Again, the players know. They were the ones that know.
Yeah.
And then the one that really I thought, the Blake Blackmar edition.
Who did that? Pat Lawrence said if he gets downhill.
Yeah, if he goes downhill. And he said wind aided.
And
gravity
you put him on roller skates.
Aided.
Yeah.
Put him on roller skates.
So that thing went like 1.3, is that right? Maybe 1,300 different views and reactions. It went on and on and on and on and on. At 1,349 views, 46 replies. But it was great. And the run, and I text Lake last night. You know, he gets a lot of credit for a lot of different things, but also the run where he was against Oklahoma State where he pulled up with a hammy and he still outran them somehow and kind of dove into the end zone. The run that still today is the most beautiful precision, looks like a dolphin in the water with those behind him, is the one against K-State when Baylor beat K-State 52-24, the number one ranked team in the country. So much of that game is the goal line stand, and so much. His 80-yard run is a thing of beauty. If you guys haven't seen it, there's an overhead shot, like a drone shot. It is perfect precision. There's Lake, and there's two K-State guys right behind him, all about 3 or 4 yards behind him, perfectly positioned. And then there are 3 players right behind them, perfectly in formation. It looked like the Blue Angels.
Like flying V.
Except there's 6 of them. Yeah. So that was fun. Had a lot of fun with that. Appreciate all the reactions we got from a lot of you as well. All right, when we come back, we'll have. When we got time, we got to have Mickey.
No, let's break and then do a short segment and then Mickey.
All right, got a note on the NFL and a couple of other nuggets. Matt Rule on the national anthem and what he might do when the season begins. This is SicEm365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters. I text Jay Errett. I couldn't help it. I sent Bob Locke, who's the agency for Pickup Outfitters, sent me the new spot. You know, like they've been commissioned to be part of the mask police, and how he was talking about his business. Pickup Outfitters, they have a bunch of accessories for your car and your truck and your SUV. That's what they do, 220 Lake Air Drive. But I couldn't help it. I texted him, I guess it was last night when I got back from doing the show. I said, this is your best one ever. Paul, jump in on this one as well. I'm not, they have bumpers and they have grill guards and they have bump steps and all. It's fine. This is about Jay Errett.
That
Pickup
was
Outfitters.
One of the best commercials. I've been in this business for 15 plus years now. And in my 15 years, if I had to put a commercial, like a Lifetime Achievement Award commercial like they do at the Oscars, that one would have to be up for it. That was the Citizen Kane of radio spots.
And he always catches your attention, and sometimes it's right on the edge. I mean,
it was so good.
This one was just great. And I just wanted to say that. I don't even know if Jay should pay for this spot. No, he should because it's about him. But here's the thing. You know what I'm talking about. Pickup Outfitters, floor covers, liners, mats, bumpers, grill guards, and much more. They do an incredible job. They have that lifetime warranty. You buy it and get it installed. They have the lifetime warranty option as well, installation warranty, and they'll give you advice on all the other warranties as well. It's a great place, great owner, great commercial. You'll hear it again. Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help you and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday, pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We'll have Mickey Spagnola, a couple of notes from him at 4:30. At 5, former Baylor corner Chance Casey, who had opportunities and was around in the NFL for a little bit. Matt Rule, former Baylor head football coach, was asked in a conference call. I think it was a Zoom call with reporters. He goes, I will support my players with whatever they do, and then when the time comes, I will really think deeply about what is the best thing for me and what's the best way I can show my support in discussions about whether or not he would kneel or stand or what during the national anthem. He said, I think that a lot of this has to come from the players. I will wait to see what direction they are leaning, and then I will make my decision. That's from Carolina head coach Matt Rule.
Well, then we're probably going to see him on a knee.
Yeah. Mike Triplett, ESPN Saints safety Malcolm Jenkins said the risk surrounding the coronavirus has to be really eliminated before he would be comfortable returning to play this season. 12th-year veteran, member of the NFLPA, outspoken, of course, in recent months.
No kidding. I've seen more Malcolm Jenkins quotes in the last 3 months than at any other.
Well, he's working for CNN now, so.
Yeah, but I don't watch CNN, so that's not why. It's because he's been very outspoken on a lot of different things, which is fine. But, yeah, I've just seen a lot more of him talking on various matters here lately.
And so that's, a guy who's a part of the NFLPA and executive committee. So I'm not sure how much that goes into play.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be guys that are like that. There's certain basketball players that, you mentioned Willie Cauley-Stein of the Mavericks earlier, already announcing that he's not going to play in Florida. So I would not be surprised to see that when it comes to the NFL as well. I mean, hopefully we're 4 months into this thing. We're 4 months, and we're now dealing with, it's the highest numbers ever. So I don't want to make any predictions on what 4 months from now is going to look like or what 3 months from now is going to look like when the NFL gets going. But, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, depending on, where players are playing or just what their family statuses are. I don't know if I printed it out, but there was a list. It was on that Willie Cauley-Stein story where they gave all the examples of, like, the 4 or 5 guys who have all announced already that they're not going to be playing, and they had various reasons for why. Like, one has a newborn, and one has like family members who are maybe dealing with issues. So, you can't really argue against somebody who wants to say, hey, I don't want to play in this because my aunt has cancer and I'm around her all the time. I mean, who's going to tell them, well, you can't do that? No, of course you can. So I would think that, that's going to happen more, or it's become more common.
There was a story yesterday. Carl Campbell sent this to me as a regular, just straight text, that the head coach at Penn State, James Franklin, his daughter has, oh my goodness, a rare disease, and I think I don't know if they live in Florida. It doesn't matter what state, but that he's going to end up living in Pennsylvania while the family stays back to wherever there is home, because she cannot, that she has to pretty much remain where she is. And he won't be the only coach that has to do that. In fact, some coaches do that anyway.
She has sickle cell.
Sickle cell. Thanks to Amelia Bedelia.
Amelia Myers, yes.
She put up another one of those graphics about 30, 40 minutes ago with all of our guests. She does a great job with this. Deontay Epps, Dylan Chapman, they're not here today. Slackers. Sometimes we have no control over them.
I have a feeling that Deontay, who's in the middle of a move, is just trying to, if he's like I think he is just trying to open as many boxes and get as much stuff out as you can. Because what happens in any move is you get like the first 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week if you're really industrious. If you have, he has his fiance, so it's a 2-person thing. If it's a 1-person thing, you got about 4 days where you just unpack like crazy, and then you start discovering things that you don't need, and then you just put those in a room.
Well, what you need to do is go straight to the dumpster.
Yeah.
I like the unpacking part because it's exactly what you said. It's a way to clean some things up and realize maybe some things you don't need. It's just the actual moving the stuff part that is the biggest pain. And that if you can swing it, movers really do. They are a lifesaver if you can do it.
I went through in 3 months in 2015 the funeral of my dad and then moving, and those two stresses are almost like, one's obviously worse, but like the way that you like how frantic you get when you're moving, it almost feels the same like physically.
It's like a trip. It's like a vacation. Leaving is fun because you're on your way, whether it's a weekend at the coast or if it's, even if it's a flight for 2 or 3, 4 days, or if it's on a way to cover training camp, and then all of a sudden it's on the way back. Moving's the opposite. Packing is a mother.
Yeah.
Unpacking, to me, is kind of almost healthy.
It's like opening gifts.
Brian Etheridge of our SicEm365 ownership, he and Ashley Hodge, Colt Barber, of course, the mothership, based on NFL combine times in the 40 meters, Mims 4.38, Coleman 4.39, RG3 and Tevin Reese ran 4.41s. David Geddes, who missed the cut because his last year was 09, he had a 4.39 as well.
I didn't even think about Denzel. Didn't even think about him. And I guess no one else did either.
Because he's big and physical, and you don't think of that, but he ran a great 40.
Yeah, and he never really burned people. I mean, he wasn't a great open field runner. He didn't have a lot of like open field style, touchdown runs. And yeah, a lot of his biggest catches were like jump balls and fades and things like that. So I guess we didn't get to really see the speed on full display. And so therefore he was not top of mind.
We'll have Mickey in a moment. Here's another TJ from the Riverbend Liquor and Wine Hotline. I hate moving. I move a few times in 6 months and I'm done. I wish moving on no one. Leon, how do you guys like the different parts of this new radio show that you have?
I have almost no complaints. Well, I like them all.
I mean, I hate my co-host, but other than that, no, I don't really have anything to complain about. I look forward to coming here every day. I can't say that about where we were, and I look forward to, talking sports with you guys every day. I like when the interns are here too. They're all great, and the setup's great. Yeah, I have no complaints.
We've kind of teased this, and there's a couple of more things still that we will announce, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks or so that will be just an absolute mind-boggling. It'll blow you away with our audience. We can't wait, but we can't yet. What I love about this is there are no distractions. It doesn't mean that we get along every day. I mean, Monday's show, we all came out of here with bloodshed, and Craig and Paul picked on me, but that's fine. I'm not bitter. But the bottom line is that we walk in the door. We really don't see each other till about 30 minutes, or maybe sometimes I've been here a little bit early. But there's no office.
Politics,
I was part of drama probably, but there's just not a lot of you have us. Craig works where he's at, where he lives. Paul's doing what he's doing. I'm doing what I'm doing, and then we have Deontay and Amelia, and also Dylan, and then we have this team that's even behind us that we had other people that we work with that we really liked and appreciated some of what they did, some of the ones who did this, but. We have Colt Barber and Brian and Ashley behind us that's like this monster truck that just keeps on revving its engine for us.
It's just nice to be able to, and I'll tell you one of the mistakes I made. I was trying to keep under budget on something because I've been conditioned for years about going a couple $100 over. And then when I told them, they're like, why didn't you just tell me 2 weeks ago? I was like,
you're right.
I'm sorry.
Got you in trouble, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit shell-shocked from before. So
and here's another thing. We say we're going to do something. Management backs us. That doesn't mean they haven't said, okay, what about – but it doesn't change from day to day or from hour to hour, from morning to evening.
Day to day, hour to hour, things would completely change.
But that's in the past.
I don't even care to talk about any of that stuff anymore. But no, it's so much better. And I know for you, from a sales point of view, that there was a stretch where you really had to get creative and think of a lot of different ideas to keep the money coming in and things like that. And there's not that much of we're still going to be creative and come up with ideas, but there's not, like this constant just harping that I'm sure that you are enjoying not having.
Yeah. Sometimes you set a standard and then you there's nothing wrong with realizing what you're doing year after year after year. The number is good when it stays about the same because of business and the economy. And we're going to only grow. And when we get through this next announcement, we're going to explode.
Yeah. We don't. The great part about SicEm365 is we don't have to pay 3-card money to figure out what we're doing 2 weeks from now.
Right.
Like, that's what we were doing before. It was like, watch the Queen, watch the Queen, watch the Queen. Who's got the Queen? Who's got the Queen?
Darren Heitner, by the way, one more quick NFL note. I know Mickey, and he's okay with this. Drew Rosenhaus has the most agents. There are 120-plus agents who have at least 10 active NFL clients. John Linta has 36 at 7. Tom Condon, well-known name, 41. Jared Fox at 43. Joel Siegel at 55. We've talked to him, I think, a couple of times. Todd France, 59. Jimmy Sexton, powerful agent at 69. And then Drew Rosenhaus has 90 players on his client list.
Well, Jimmy Sexton's got like basically every major college football head coach.
Yeah. He was the head coach, the one that advised Coach Bryles after Pepper Hamilton to do the interview with Tom Rinaldi that was a disaster.
Of all the people to do one with, too.
When we come back, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com.
Drive forward at Allen Samuels. Get big summer values on new Jeeps, the vehicles of summer. Get 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on select Jeeps, plus new Jeep Gladiators featuring employee pricing for all. New Ram Lone Star Crew Cab 4x4s feature up to $10,250 in values. Shop safely in person or shop and buy online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels.
Ask for details.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour, 4:39 on SicEm365 Radio. Mickey Spagnola joins us from DallasCowboys.com. I just mentioned something from the, legal counsel of the NFL saying the teams will go to training camp, I believe, on July 28th. Mickey, do you feel like that's going to be the day?
It sounds like, that's what they're pointing to, but, we'll have to see what transpires here. Somebody asked me yesterday what I thought about the season. Do you think they're going to play? And I said, yes, but ask me tomorrow because this is a moving target. And, but the owners had their conference call today. A Zoom meeting or whatever stream they used, and this was discussed, and it sounds like the 28th today, and now it'll be the 28th for the Cowboys instead of the 22nd because of the cancellation of the Pro Football Hall of Fame game.
Mickey, Dak Prescott signed the franchise tender, and that's great news in that there'll be no holdout, which I don't think anybody who covers the Cowboys regularly really thought there was going to be. Does this ease tensions if there were any real ones in negotiations? What does it change in your mind?
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything when it comes to tensions because, they unless they had pulled the franchise tag from him, which teams can do, by the way, until the guy signs it, he knew he was guaranteed $31.409 million once he signed it. So I don't know if there's anybody have tensions about getting that type of money guaranteed over the season. Now, would each side like a long-term deal? Yeah, absolutely. The Cowboys would like it because that reduces Dak's cap hit for this year, and I'm sure Dak would like it because instead of having to get paid week by week on the franchise tag, he'd probably get somewhere around a $50 million signing bonus tomorrow. And I would think that would be very wise to take, right? So, I don't think there's tensions. I mean, think about it a couple of years ago when DeMarcus Lawrence first signed his franchise tag and somebody asked him if he was mad. And he said, how can I be mad when someone's giving me $20 million? So I would imagine Dak's fine with it. And you got to remember, these negotiations aren't between the player and the organization. It's the player's agent and the organization.
Mickey, I know you're not his doctor, but all indications that Zeke's still dealing with Corona pretty okay?
You guys, would you believe I tuned in to Twitch yesterday? I had no idea that even existed.
Oh, it's a whole
right?
new world. Yeah, whole new world.
Twitch, I was like, okay, what is this? And then I saw it, and it was like, all right, I'm done. But yeah, I mean, you know, previously he didn't want to tell anybody. I guess he tweeted out HIPAA, and now he's telling everybody, yeah, and you know, I feel fine. And you know, the big thing is when you get back to working out. But yeah, you know, you always thought that a young guy like that, you wouldn't think the worst for. But with this stuff, you never know. It's case-by-case basis. But the interesting thing will be when they actually do report to the Star, because everybody's going to have to get tested. Then we'll see, you know, what the roll call is on the COVID-19, because I'm sure guys might have it. And, you know, when you're asymptomatic, who knows? So that'll be the interesting time to find out how many out of 90 guys, all the coaching staff, the support staff, to see how many end up testing positive, because they're not immune to this, right? It's an inevitable, just like the PGA Tour.
So I'm going to have fun with Mickey on this one, Paul and Craig. How long have I known you? Since like 92 or 93, is that right?
It was around 92. Yeah, I think so, 93.
So, Mickey, is it feasible to trade Dak and sign Cam Newton? Might that say?
What would it take to?
So Dean Patty on Twitter, not to throw him under the bus, but tweeted this out about trading Dak, signing Cam, saving money, get draft picks, let Dalton and Newton battle it out. And Mickey, all you did was say why. and one after another. And the guy, it's just a question, but I mean, that brought on the greatest reaction. And you were like, three letters have never brought so much reaction in life. Oh.
You know, and David, I was starting to worry because I wasn't getting many posts on my mentions. And I'm like, no one's paying attention, or they don't care. There's nothing interesting. And then all I do is throw out 3 letters and a question mark, and the thing goes crazy.
Yeah,
I wish it was that easy, you know?
Yeah, and it was all in fun. Of course, there's some that, of course, get a little bit negative, but no, I mean, the guy was just asking a question. He was wrong. It was a dumb question. But again, I always say, if you don't know the answer, you can ask the question. Some actually feel that way. Okay, so as a guy that covers the Cowboys, and it's like an ER doctor, your beeper's always on, if there are even beepers. But so Dak signs his deal, and like within 24 hours, right before or after, here comes all the Jamal Adams stuff. Does it never end? It just never ends, does it?
It's the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
And all you need is some Joe driving by and recognize Jamal Adams. Hey man, come to the Cowboys, and he says, I'm trying, and it turns into a national story. Do you think that happens in Detroit?
No, I don't.
Right?
Think so. No.
It's the Cowboys, and what people don't understand is, you know, just because he wants to get traded doesn't mean the Jets are going to trade him. You know, we talked about this last week. And then there's the fact that he wants to be paid like a defensive end, and he's a strong safety. So there's also salary cap implications if you do make the trade, because you know, he's got 1 year left on his rookie salary, and they've already taken his 5th-year option. So you know, I think over the next, what did I read, 2 years, he's owed $14-15 million. So I guarantee you, when he's looking for a new contract, that's where it starts, not where it ends, but where it starts. So it's not as easy as, yeah, let's just go get this guy. People forget there's a salary cap involved.
Mickey, when you kind of heard it there when he said that. We've mentioned it. My thought was when Jamal Adams shouted that from his car that he's trying to make the Cowboys happen. I was like, oh my God, do you know what you've just done?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and when the way teams put together rosters and put together a salary cap, you have position priorities. Like, this is where I spend my money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where strong safety's listed. Now, he's very versatile and he's very good. And, he can play strong safety. He can play probably in the slot on the nickel. He can rush. He can play linebacker. But still, you start at quarterback. You probably go to, pass rushing defensive end, cornerback, wide receiver, running back. You're going to go a ways before you get to strong safety. I mean, if you had your druthers, you'd rather a top-notch free safety than a strong safety. So in the Cowboys world, I don't know that they think that should be a big money position. Now, having said that, if I can draft him like the Jets did, I think it was a sixth pick in the first round, and you get him at that rookie salary, then from a financial standpoint, it's like, yeah, okay, I can qualify that. Although, what else am I passing up? What other position am I passing up? Is this guy that good that he's better than the best defensive end available, or the best wide receiver, or the best cornerback? And folks don't think that way. They just think, well, Jamal Adams, Pro Bowler, okay, we got to go get him. You got to have priorities.
Anything else? Greg, Paul? All right, Mick, good luck. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. And
stay off my Twitter and don't cause problems, okay?
Hey, you handle your little zoo and I'll handle mine.
Mickey, enjoy Twitch tonight. I'm sure you're going to watch a bunch of 15-year-olds play.
Yeah, I'm going to tune in and see what else I can find out, right?
Yeah. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, with us Thursdays at 4:30. So we started the day with Doug Williams, Super Bowl MVP. He had a lot of great things to say. I liked the way he went about talking about change. There's nothing threatening. It was just a guy who's been through it all his life, from the days when he lived in Louisiana, through what he dealt with at Grambling or with the NFL, and now what he's trying to do. And then Richmond Webb, John Bechtel from Fairfield, thanks to Max Olson and Mickey Spagnola. In about 10 minutes, we'll hear from former Baylor cornerback Chance Casey. He could run.
Oh, yeah.
He could flat out go, and he'll join us today as well. Now, a couple other notes to start the day. 254-339-1122, your thoughts on, and this is a question we could ask every day forever. Is the season going to start on time? Is the NFL going to play 16 games? Are your thoughts as high school football? I just saw Jack Stallard, longtime friend of mine, writes for the Longview News Journal. I'm entering 80 different high school football schedules, typing my fingers off to the bone and wondering if I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, me too. I was just saying this during the commercial break, that unless something changes, and there's no decisions that have to be made right now, but you do have to be looking, out there a little bit. If something doesn't change around the state of Texas, y'all can kiss high school football goodbye. I'm telling you right now. I just saw the latest numbers today. 5,996 new cases in Texas, which is a new high. It's 14 straight days, I believe, of new highs, but this is the highest. We're now approaching 6,000 new cases. Now, that's, completely different from the actual death rate and things like that, but a concerning number is the positivity rate, because as of today's test, the positivity rate was running about 20%. 20%. So 1 in every 5 people getting tested in Texas today were testing positive. So, yeah, there's going to have to be some things that get under control here in the next couple of weeks. But Jack Stallard has a good point, and it's just funny timing because I was saying something a few minutes ago about it. I'm not going to wring my hands and freak out over it, but I sure hope something changes here pretty soon, because I think that college will find a way. I definitely think pro football will find a way, but high schools just don't have that flexibility or that ability.
Like major college football and the NFL can sequester their teams.
Yes.
The colleges can, honestly, especially if if most students don't come back, they'll have they can just move them into dorms and say,
Right.
this is where you're going to live during the season. This is this is your contact tracing. This is who you can go see. We're going to have curfews and stuff like that. It's going to suck, but we got to get through it. And essentially, we've been doing that anyway for the last 4 months as it stands. And the NFL, shoot, the Cowboys can put everybody up in a hotel next to the Star. They can go to the Star. They can put them on a bus, and they either go to the airport to go play against the Giants, or they go to AT&T Stadium, and that's where they go, and that's where they live in that little area for that time. But how do you sequester a high school team?
Well, and
Can't do it.
And you don't have all the tests. Like
Yeah.
the colleges and the pros, they're testing people like multiple times a day. And they have so much money for tests and available tests that, some pro teams, it's like you arrive in the morning, test. You leave at night, test. And, same thing every single day. We've talked about, how thorough the UFC's testing has been. That's just those numbers. I was hoping that maybe those would come in. It would be about the same or a little bit lower. And unfortunately, they're actually going up even higher. So I know that the governor said today that they're taking a pause on the next phase of reopening, which is smart. I think the last thing we want to do is go in reverse and, live like we were living in May. But, something's got to change around here for the hopes of high school football in particular, in my opinion. And that, of course, trickles down to all of the other high school sports, because I just don't see how at that level you're going to be able to swing testing and quarantining and doing all those things, as Paul mentioned. So we'll see. I mean, thankfully, it's not even July yet, although we are knocking on the door.
Carl Campbell sent me this earlier today, and I have not seen this reported yet, or maybe I'm not looking in the right place, but Carl's pretty in tuned in that Austin area. Austin ISD schools are now closed because 580 teachers and staff cleaning the schools tested positive.
580?
No, that can't be right. I think 28. 28.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. He sent me a different text earlier today. Carl, you want to call us and give us an idea? 254-339-1122. There was like 20-some, I guess, teachers and staff out of 580 who tested positive, who were the ones that were cleaning the schools. The way you wrote it, 28 Austin schools are closed because 580 teachers and staff cleaning the schools tested positive. I don't think it's 500.
That would be pretty much every teacher in Austin, I would think.
Well, no, it'd be hundreds of teachers.
Yeah,
well, 580 is hundreds.
Y'all should see there's various charts, and people can fudge charts and things like that, but there's one from the Lincoln Project from 19 hours ago, and I don't know much about the Lincoln Project. It's just something that I saw.
15 confirmed cases by Austin workers in the ISD. Around 575 staff members, because of that, were asked to quarantine. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so on this chart, which I've now lost, but I can kind of explain it. They have all of the states, especially ones that were getting hit hard, like New York and those states. And they've got them on a chart showing the rise and fall of cases, and it's pretty alarming to see that Texas started off like kind of at the low end and was basically at the low end, and now they have shot past everybody, and now Texas, because we always like to be on top, take our place atop of that chart, and it is a long way down until you see about basically every other state that was listed. They are a lot of states who have remained pretty steady or in fact gone down, and Texas is like the complete, it's like a rocket shooting into space. It's pretty crazy to see.
When we come back, we'll have Chance Casey, former Baylor corner, played in the NFL. A look back again at a former Baylor name that was a part of that great run back in the early part of the decades of the 2010s. 2010s, he's next on SicEm 365 Radio.
Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business. And right now, you can get the ultimate luxury style and power in a new SUV by driving the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6, or you can try a few less passengers with the Cadillac XT4 or the XT5. Right now, you can experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They also have the line of Buicks like the Encores, which is a great crossover SUV. Right now, you can save $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. And they've got all sorts of cars and trucks in stock. Over 100 in stock right now. Over 25 of those used trucks all in stock at discounted prices. Rich Car Motors, as I mentioned, are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want to earn your business, and they want you to stop by their daily disinfected showroom, see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home. Your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them at richardcarr, KARR.com, or at Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who will navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
And Texas is a team that scores their most points in the fourth quarter. And he's going for the bomb and picked up. Braylon Arnold. He brings it back to the 34-yard line.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. 5:01, we start this third hour. Doug Williams opened us up 2 hours ago, former Super Bowl MVP, former Redskins quarterback who now works with the organization. He joined us at 3, and 2 hours later, it's Chance Casey, former Baylor cornerback who also spent time in the National Football League, and he joins us now on the show with Craig and Paul, and I'm David Smoke. Chance Casey, yesterday, first of all, good to have you. How you been?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's kind of kind of having a blast from the past. Yesterday we put up, or we mentioned, it's random. Name 3 players who played in the decade of 2010 to 19, and I know you started 6 games as a freshman in 09, but you would have been included in this list. Name 3 guys. Run a 40. I said meters because I'm old and I'm an idiot. I should have said yards because I am, but 40. Let's say 40 yards. Name 3 guys who would be 1, 2, and 3 in that race.
So that's a tough one. Just because I don't know everyone's 40 times, I got to put Mims up there at the top. I think he has the fastest 40 out of everybody.
Yep.
Which honestly, it surprised me because we haven't seen him play that game, but I can roll. We go. I got to go KD, and then probably Corey after that.
Okay. Those are a lot of the names in the mix.
All right, where would you finish in a race like that? Because you could pick him up and put him down, Chance.
How many guys are in the race?
Let's just say there's 5 guys or 10. How many are in like an Olympic heat?
So if it was an Olympic heat, I'm going to put myself at 7 because I'm not going to get last. But I wasn't able to crack 4-3, unfortunately.
Chance, we were just talking. It's funny you mentioned Denzel. We were talking about how we just blanked on him. Didn't even really consider him, but he did have the fastest 40 of any Baylor wide receiver at the Combine. What'd you think of the year that he had? And now obviously he's got a lot of expectations heading to the Jets as a high second-round pick.
I was actually really impressed by him. So my wife and I, we got season tickets for the first time this year, so we were able to go to all the home games. And watching him play, you saw that they did a lot of things to create some mismatches with him. So the team would put him in a 3-by-1 set, and he's over there. If it was single coverage, he's getting the ball, and he was able to capitalize on a lot of big plays. So I think the big thing for him is going to be keeping that confidence, that swagger when he gets to the next level, and then just making sure that he's able to continue to build upon his game. But, he's a talented kid.
You were a part of the original building blocks of what became back-to-back Big 12 championships. I know in 2012 that team ended the year 8-5, but you guys were at the end of the year probably about as good as anybody. But you set the standard. You're the guys that gave Baylor a belief they could win again. How much comparison have you seen with what they had to do following Art Browse's firing, then 1-11, and then what they've done the last couple of years? Are there any comparisons to you at all?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. And I would say what we built during the era with Coach Browse was something that helped them to continue that tradition. I know there were some rough years in there, but come on, Coach Rule comes in in 3 years, completely turns the program back around, goes from a 1-win season to playing for the Big 12 championship and playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. That's unheard of. So unprecedented. And what I think was really cool about, if you want to compare the 2 eras and the 2 teams, I think it was really, really neat how they were. I saw them as kind of opposites, where when I was playing, we had these high-flying offenses that would go out and put up a bunch of points on you. And then with the teams that have come through recently with Coach Rule, you really defensive-minded, shut you down. They still put up a lot of points. They're still a very talented team, but it was almost the opposite, where you had a bunch of stars on the defensive side of the ball, which being a defensive guy, I really enjoyed.
Maybe our most, I don't know, maybe it's true, the most listened to interview, and this was early on in our show here a couple months ago, was Phil Bennett talking about, something like when we released the all-decade team on SicEm365.com and giving his opinions on that. And we did talk to him about how tough it was to play defense and coach defense when your offense can score in 2 plays pretty much every time on the field. What was that like from a conditioning standpoint and just from a mental standpoint to have to know that, you could be on the field for 8 plays, come off, not even get to really unbuckle your chin strap and have to go back out there?
So for me, I didn't realize how odd it was probably until I got into the NFL, because, in a typical game, you're expected to play 50, maybe 60 snaps on either side of the ball. And we were running around 80 snaps a game. That was average. There are a lot of games where we were on the field a lot longer than that. So for me, it was kind of a shock later on down the line. But as far as conditioning and knowing that we could score in 2 plays, or we could come off the field and be back on there in 5 seconds, I mean, we practiced against that every day. So it was something that we were able to physically handle. But I mean, game plan and kind of the nuance that goes with, having to literally come off the field, team scores, go back on and play a whole nother round of defense. It's tough. It's tough to do, because I mean, you get offenses and they're able to get on a roll when they're able to have so much time with the ball and spend so much time on the field.
What were the feelings like to close out your career with that big bowl win over UCLA, and where does that game kind of rank in your greatest memories as a Baylor Bear?
What's funny is that that game's probably it was a big win. I was very happy to go out with a win, but I am a little salty about that game because I had a pick six that I dropped. I was looking at the I was looking at the end zone before I caught the ball, and I dropped it. But yeah, that's probably one of my top 5 games. I think number 1 though, and you guys were talking about it recently when Lake had that breakaway run against K-State and we had the goal line stand. I think that's my number 1 game, because the environment, even the environment on campus that week was just crazy, because I think that they were ranked number 1 at the time, and you could just feel the buzz in the locker room and on campus that we were playing the number 1 team on prime time that evening, and we were going to win.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, and Craig kind of led to it, is that we had that list of, 1, 2, and 3, and Lake was brought up a lot by who had pads on. In fact, J.J. Joe brought up Lake Seastrunk with pads on would win the 40. But someone posted a video of that run, that 80-yard run against K-State, and I remember the game, and I remember the goal line stand, and I remember the upset, but I did not remember you guys blew them out. It was like 52-24.
It was 45-24, and Lake broke off that run with like a minute left in the third quarter.
In the third quarter,
yeah.
And then you guys kind of, not so much that you tapped your brakes, but what was that week leading up to? You said on campus, what was it like with practice, the focus, razor sharp?
Yeah, I mean, it was razor sharp focus. We knew we had a job to do that week, and that all eyes in the country were going to be on us. Because we felt like we were better than them, for the best team. We just thought, hey, this is an opportunity to show the entire country what we're made of. And fortunately, we were able to go out and show that in spades.
Chance, the year 2012 did not start well. And a lot of people questioned that team because Robert was leaving, among others as well, Ganaway. But that team that started off, there were some losses. There was the craziness of that year. What flipped the switch? What happened from what was, I think, like 4-5 to finishing with a 4-game or 5-game winning streak in the bowl win?
So I think, and you'll have to bear with me, I remember going into 2012, I was coming off of an ACL surgery. So I played half of that year with a knee brace on. Like you said, the season was really rocky to get things going. But I think what kind of flipped the switch was, the year that we had prior was just such an emotional kind of roller coaster. There were a lot of highs, and coming into the season, we needed to basically restart our identity, because you lose a stud receiver in Kendall, you're losing a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball, and then you're losing guys like Robert. For the most part, you could look at it as a rebuilding year, and we were able to kind of turn it around towards the end of the season. Now, it wasn't like you see NFL teams go in and kind of blow their whole system up and start over. But we lost some key pieces, and it was just a matter of figuring out how to win with having to fill those gaps also.
Chance, what was your first, oh my gosh, this kid's going to be really good RG3 moment?
It's funny you asked that. So this is before Baylor. This is I want to say I was probably in 6th grade, and we both ran summer track. So we were at the state meet for summer track state meet, and I was competing in high jump. And I was pretty good. So we get around I'm jumping with all the other kids. We get around to 5'8", and Robert, I didn't know who he was at the time, but he was over there sitting down in his sweatpants, sunglasses on, probably had headphones in or something like that, just hanging out. So I thought he was jumping with the older kids, because we were still broken up by age groups. So I'm sitting there, and we're getting to 5'8", we move it up to 5'10", bunch of kids drop out. We get to 6 foot, and there's 2 kids left. And Robert takes off his sweatpants and is like, hey, I'm going to come in at 6 foot. And so he proceeds to jump 6 foot, and I think he goes up to 6'4" or something. And everybody's out by this point. So he just came in and blew away the competition after everybody already valued themselves out. And then turned around and went and won the, I think it was the 100 hurdles at the time, and then the 300 hurdles. And set a record or something. And from that point on, I was like, okay, I need to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
And so actually when we were going through the recruiting and stuff too, and I raced against him in school track and from that point going forward. But when we were going into recruiting, he was a big part of the reason why I came. It was like, hey, I know you're going on other visits and stuff, and you might see a school that you really like, but we're going to do something special here. And I had already seen what he could do, so I believed him, and I'm happy that I decided to come to Baylor.
How often, you mentioned Mims and how you could even see when they were matching up, and as a guy who covered wide receivers, and you were a big body for someone as well at cornerback, how often do you watch on a Saturday when they're playing on television? Do you pretty much lock yourself in, or is it just kind of depends on what you're doing?
So during football season, I don't get weekends. We are glued to the TV on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm watching as much football as I can on the weekends.
Chad, since the last time I think I talked to you, you've gotten married since then, right?
Yeah, I actually got married last November.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. Very cool.
I appreciate it. So I actually met my wife. We met at Baylor. She was a cheerleader. And funny enough, her friend who was supposed to introduce the two of us decided to point me out to her during the middle of the game. So I had my helmet on and everything, and she saw me and was like, oh, he doesn't look very cute in his football pad. So it took a while, but she eventually came around.
You must have had an okay game then. Not bad enough to run her off that early, right?
No, not bad enough.
Yeah, she couldn't just Google you.
She felt sorry for me. I don't know.
Look, she could just Google pull up the roster and look. Oh, look, there he is. Hey, a nice picture.
It
of your
worked
face.
out, like you said. It worked out.
That's great.
Yeah.
Your time in the NFL, you were Raiders, 49ers, Raiders again, Colts, Jaguars, Browns, and Jaguars. And a lot of times you were on those practice squads or whatever, but you were in the league. You were in the league, and you were there for like 4 full years. What was it like to be a part of it, and then yet as a practice squad player, you were there all the time, but sometimes you weren't able to play?
Yeah, so when you look at guys that are on the practice squad, they're essentially doing everything that the active roster guys are doing, with the exception of lacing them up on Sundays. And depending on the organization, those guys are still there getting a workout in and everything on Sundays. So, I mean, as far as the experience from active roster to practice squad, and I was fortunate enough to do both. There's not much of a difference other than the spotlights on Sundays and sometimes Mondays. But as an experience as a whole, it's really incredible. Because, you grow up your whole life playing football, and you're always working on your game in certain aspects, like I need to get my technique right, I need to be bigger, stronger, faster. When you get to that level, it's really amazing the nuance that is in the game, where it's no longer being bigger, faster, stronger. It's literally a chess match, excuse me. And there's actually one story that I'll never forget that kind of epitomizes this. And this was my second preseason game. And we were game planning, or it might have been third then because we were game planning. It was one of our preseason games. We were game planning, and our coach was telling us, hey, when they get in this formation, they're going to run this quick out. They're going to run this quick out every time. So what I want you to do is I want you to jump in and steal it. And that was never something that we kind of, we watched film in college and stuff, but we never looked at down and distance and formations and plays that teams liked. And so we were able to break that down. And so sure enough, game comes around, they line up at that formation. The guy that's in, he's like, okay, I know I'm going to jump this because they're running an out. So they run the play. The receiver runs the out route. He jumps it. Receiver turns it up. Hits him with a double move. So the corner's just stuck there looking. He's looking over to the sideline at the coach like, you told me to jump it. And the guy catches it over the top of him for a touchdown. And what a lot of people don't see when you're watching the game on Sundays or on Saturdays is that's what defensive coordinators are drawing up. They do that self-scout where they're like, hey, we know that we're showing this play or we're running this a lot on film. So let's throw a little wrinkle in there. Let's throw a little wrinkle and get an easy first down or an easy touchdown out of it because we know that they're game planning for this. And so I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways was really that kind of back and forth of the mind game or the chess match that you're playing within the game.
It's crazy to kind of hear it that way. The what's Chance Casey doing right now?
So I'm down here in Austin. I'm working for a telco company. So I know you're familiar with. I'm sure everybody is by now familiar with like Zoom. So we help service them and other telecom providers like that internationally. So it's
So you've been busy.
It's complicated work, but yeah, it's been very, very busy recently.
I got to tell you this. I never even. When was the first time you ever heard of Zoom? Seriously, like in March?
Like a month before.
Yeah, maybe right about the time when all this hit, right?
Yeah.
About, yeah.
And what was the thing that Mickey was listening to Ezekiel Elliott? Twitch.
That's been around.
Yeah. Okay.
That's totally different, too.
Twitch has been around for a while. Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it came in yesterday.
Yeah. Smokey,
like same as Adobe Audition.
Yeah.
I mean,
Smokey, you're 50 years too old to know about Twitch, really.
But Isn't it crazy though? Yeah.
Yeah, Twitch is going to end up being, what are they? The Gen Z, whatever age my brother is. That's going to be their ESPN.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, where they like to watch all the gamers and all that stuff. So.
You know,
oh man!
I actually, the first week we were doing this show, there wasn't a lot going on, obviously, because it was right at the beginning of the shutdown. But I actually had that story we never got to on streamers and how much money they make. And yeah, I think you're right, Chance. I think Gen Z is gonna definitely be all over the Twitch game moving forward because there is some money to be made.
It's actually kind of incredible the money you can make with that. But so. And I haven't done a lot of research into this, but what's really interesting is they don't have, so esports is, I mean, it's a sport now. They have competitions, they pay out money, they do all that stuff, they have sponsored teams and everything. But from what I'm aware of, they don't have any sort of union or esports union that's able to protect those players. So what a lot of those kids, when they're joining these programs, they're essentially being forced to stream for a ridiculous amount, 21 hours in a day or something like that. They get 3 hours of sleep, and they're supposed to practice and do all these things on top of that. Where, I mean, you sign up and you're able to make a lot of money. You get to play video games for a living, but I mean, your time basically isn't your own. You don't get any free time, and so I'm really curious to see how that kind of changes and shapes in the coming years.
Well, Chance, it's been great to grab you and get on you and get you on the show. Appreciate it. It's been fun to reminisce. We've had players back in the 50s, and we've had a bunch from back in a decade ago when things changed quite a bit for Baylor as well. We appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on, and I appreciate the show and everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you. It's Chance Dylan Casey with us on SicEm365 Radio. Played 09, 6 games, started as a freshman. And then, of course, was a part of that team that went to the Alamo Bowl to beat Washington in the shootout, RG3's Heisman Trophy year. Ganaway had the MVP of that game. And then 2012, that 8-5 team at the end of the year, I'd like to have seen them play anybody. And I'm not being stupid. Or
who won the national title that year?
2012, probably Alabama.
Probably.
I don't know, probably Alabama.
Let's see.
By the way, from Sean Callahan, he covers Nebraska. Just happened to see him on my timeline because I wanted to know who the next Huskers player who's entered the transfer portal. The NCAA Division I Council has extended the recruiting dead period in all sports through the end of August 31st. And they'll continue to review the dead period on a regular basis.
That's going to be one hell of a mad dash when they open it up again.
Isn't it? My God.
A disaster.
It's like running to the Bulls.
It's going to be an absolute disaster. And I know that one of the outlets started a decommitment tracker. I think 24/7 did that like a couple years back or something like that. But Bud Elliott, who is a big Florida State guy, so Paul knows him well, he has kind of started this Corona, decommitment tracker. He's basically setting the table as though this is going to be the wildest decommitment season that we've ever seen, because now we're looking at all the way until August, and players have not yet been able to take basically any visits whatsoever. I mean, none. And they're going to be signing in 4 months, so they're going to be signing in 4 months, and so, yeah, that's going to be really difficult to navigate, and that's considering that everything gets back to normal at some point, which doesn't look all that likely, so I don't know how this is going to work.
One other note, we'll go to Carl, right, on the hotline. Carl, good afternoon. Thanks for your call. Carl from Austin on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, Smokey, how are you?
We're doing great. Go ahead.
So what it was today, KView, and they updated their story around like 1:15. But so Austin ISD had 15 people test positive, but because they're not adhering to social distancing and they're cleaning the schools to get them ready, 580 have to quarantine for 14 days, and they're shutting down 28 schools and Austin ISD facilities.
Jeez. Yeah.
So 15 test positive, but they had not been practicing social distancing. And so that's going to shut down nearly 600 ISD.
Here's the thing is like,
yeah,
for everybody that doesn't want to social distance or doesn't want to wear a mask, in public places, look at the alternative. You're being asked to do two things, basically, and wash your hands. You're being asked to do like three. You should be washing your hands anyways. The face mask thing is for right now. And, if we want what we want, and I think we all want sports and we want football especially, those are the sacrifices you have to make.
Do you like your kids being homeschooled all the time? Do you have to stay, do you want your kids to go back to school?
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of parents that are like, do what we got to do to get them back in school.
It's just how it is.
Yep.
And, I've said this a couple times, and I'm going to keep saying it. The greatest generation, the World War II, they gave up so much stuff, and what we're being asked to do is so much further down the totem pole than those people. We should be able to handle it.
Texas A&M has announced they will not require ACT or SAT scores from undergraduate applicants for the fall of 2021.
By the way, thank you, Carl, for the phone call
great
and
to hear
for enlightening us on Austin ISD. But the A&M's not the first to do that. I think Texas is doing that too, maybe.
A lot of places are going to start doing it. That's going to be one of those things that's going to be hard to go back to the old way of doing it, because things will start to be adjusted depending on how far this goes. And the other thing that happens is once you adjust something, so you're not going to do the SAT or the ACT. And right now we have a federal government who believes the Department of Education is a little superfluous, which, really constitutionally it kind of is, but that's neither here nor there. What happens when the class of 2022 goes, well, they didn't have to have it.
Right.
I went through all that same stuff. I just was a year younger. So it's, I do think that there's going to be.
Oh, the door's open now. The floodgates are open already.
Yeah,
so
things are going to change.
So is everything? I understand why this is happening.
Yeah.
So why even go to school?
Wow, that's
a bit extreme.
Yeah, I know, but we're like, I get what we're doing, but there has to be a way to be able to know whether or not you get into certain schools eventually again, right? Are we just going to do grades from math and arithmetic and Spanish?
Yeah, I guess so. That's what they have to do.
So ACT and SAT go out of business?
Yeah, or they have to get completely overhauled, which they needed to anyway. So this is probably gonna force that hand.
Think about it though. How are you gonna do it this year? And to see, so this year it makes all the sense to not have them, because how are you gonna do that? You have to.
No, I remember my ACT test, which I did.
How are you
going
to go to a testing center?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't. No, I remember we had it seemed like there was 100 and some
with
students
somebody monitoring you while you're taking the test. So it totally makes sense, and maybe it doesn't go to that extreme of, well, they didn't have to do it, but there will definitely at least be a minority crowd of people that say, well, testing's unfair anyways, and whatever.
That's my concern. Look, I think they need to completely overhaul the way they do standardized testing. The tax test in our state and all those things are not helping us. They're not helping us. Our younger people be smarter. So they need to, I'm not saying that standardized testing doesn't have a place, but it needs to be overhauled.
You're saying the SAT and ACT, you're comparing that to the tax test?
Standardized testing all pigeonholes things, and it needs to be broader.
Because based on my score of the ACT, that I never should have gone to school. I had an 18.
Yeah,
but I had an 18.
Yeah, it's also not a fair representative.
I was bored out of my mind that day.
I think standardized testing is often not a fair representation of what you are as a student. And again, it has a place, but it needs to get overhauled. And Smokey, what's one of I've known this about you since day one of you and I working together. What's one of your least favorite things that you hear people say? Why do we do this?
Yeah.
Because we've always done it that way.
Well, when back at where we used to be, the very first week, I finally put up a note on my door that said, please don't say this is how we used to do it.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't mean it was wrong or right. It's just that things change. And I'm not a big fan of the testing either. I think that I never had to deal with anything other than the ACT or the SAT. I didn't have to deal with tax or whatever the hell you call it. And I've never understood that. It was almost, why did they start it?
Because
because somebody was making money.
Yeah, there's a big lobby for standardized testing and things like that, and the these curriculums and all that. And it also started because it's a very simple way to decide who should have money and who shouldn't. But the thing is that there's cultural biases in that. There's disadvantages in it. There's, the fact that, okay, you've got a school who has a bunch of resources to put into promoting this tax test and another one that doesn't. Also, if you have a place that doesn't have, I'll just use Connolly, for example. The property tax revenue in that area in Lacey, Lakeview, and Waco is not going to be as high as it is in Hewitt. So not that they would do this, but just by comparison of things that we would know, Midway doesn't have to, gamble as much on getting state funding from the tax test as maybe Connolly does, because they've got property tax revenue that Connolly just doesn't have based on their population. So, there's that, seesaw effect there of like, well, we got to put all this stuff into the tax test. And then are you really, if you're a student, are you learning because you're going to take these things with you, or are you learning so that you can get a good grade on this test so that your school can continue to be open?
I can totally tell you.
I'm starting to fall asleep.
Remember a single thing from any standardized test I ever took.
No, I didn't either.
And they did not help me in any way.
Let's get to Greg Sankey on the Athletics story about Power 5 commissioners. He's the SEC commissioner. Considers, of course, as everybody is, the Big 12 is already, that story is out, about moving back their championship title game about a week to allow for scheduling makeups, and that may not be enough. But every one of us is properly considering, can we move? Can we change? You have to be ready to adapt. And Gil Brandt responded to that from Paul Feinbaum, who's the one that put the quote up. I wonder if college football should not just start making plans to start in the spring. That was just from Gil Brandt, who's pretty tied in. That doesn't mean he's right. Doesn't mean he's wrong. Doesn't mean that's going to happen. 531 SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. How does he do that? Well, one, you have to contact him. You may say, I'm 35 years old, I'm good. All right, well, maybe you are. You might be 74, you might be 46, you might be, I'm 61, whatever age you are. And maybe things just aren't quite what they used to be. And a lot of people sit there and they think about testosterone, they think about sex drive and, all that stuff that goes with it. It could just be how you feel. It could be you're lethargic, you don't feel right, something's missing, and it could be your testosterone level is low. And yes, it could also contribute to issues with your sex drive and stamina. So what you have to do is contact him, PettyClinicLowT.com and the staff, and they will set you up for an appointment for blood work. They'll send you to a place to get your blood done. He'll get the results, contact you, and say, hey, by the way, your testosterone levels are fine. Or he might tell you that they're lower than they need to be, in some cases much lower. Then he can put you in a program, if they're too low, to help you become the man, the high-performance man you want to be. Nothing wrong with it. It's something that maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago you didn't talk about. Now you can talk about it all the time, if that's the problem. And the only way you could find out if you feel like you're kind of battling something is contact him. Petty Clinic Low T. Get the blood work at a discounted rate. Let him look at your results. Dr. Petty will put you in a program to help you increase your testosterone levels for many reasons. And they screen for also PSA tests for prostate cancer and other important things as well. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com. Locally, and business, by the way, is on Hewitt Road, just off 84 in Woodway.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna. And now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere. And yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
These make a great pair. Each are phenomenal bargains from Allen Samuels. The new 2020 Jeep Cherokee and new 2019 Dodge Journey. Save thousands now as we drive forward into summer. Journey, the great American crossover with third row seating, just $16,995 for select qualified buyers. And the Go Anywhere Jeep Cherokee, just $29.90 and eligible for first responder $500 bonus cash. Journey, Jeep Cherokee, summer bargains from Allen Samuels. Ask for details.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is SicEm 365 Radio. The SicEm 365 Radio poll is brought to you by Pickup Outfitters, where everything purchased and installed comes with our famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
Carl, who just called us a minute ago from the Austin area, the bone that I would have about pushing back a week is that it takes away from the Army-Navy game.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And you know what? I never thought about that. And Carl, that's one of those days because of my father being a part of the U.S. Naval Academy. I make sure that day I don't have anything to do. I'll go. Let's say I go work out in the morning. I'll make sure I have everything at the grocery store either the night before, the day before, sometime, and then I'll go by and maybe pick up a couple more things. And Craig has seen this before. I'll take out a Navy baseball cap. A picture of my father in his all whites, and I'll have a can of smoked oysters, which he used to love, Grandy, Ritz crackers, Cheese Whiz, and I'll drink a little bit more Crown and Coke than I probably need to, and watch the hell out of that game.
Yeah, and they've been dominant in that series here as of late. Yeah, that's going to be curious to see how they handle that, and I'm actually starting to think with that announcement about the recruiting dead period lasting now for at least another 2 months. There's games that are going to be played potentially before recruiting's dead period ends. So I'm wondering if they're going to eliminate the early signing day this year and then just go back to the way it was 2 years ago and the way it was for forever, which was the February first Wednesday in February signing day, because I just don't. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of kids that are like, no, I'm ready to sign right now in December. But man, there's going to be a lot of kids who are not ready to do that, because even if you take the blue chips out of the equation, the ones who take all 5 visits more often than not and have more of the drama, in tow, even the kids who have 6 offers still need to take visits and still need to know where they want to go. So, I mean, you're talking about literally every athlete, no matter how hard you're being recruited. If you're being recruited, this has an effect on you. So this is going to be a disaster to sort through, but it's just one of multiple disasters ongoing. So it just makes sense to have this as, one of the smaller but still legitimate problems you're facing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is also going to lead to that one-time transfer rule getting pushed through in the next year, just because the lack of no visits and less stuff that they had before is going to lead to more kids deciding that they want to transfer, they didn't like where they were, and the transfer portal, which is already bloated, is just going to be exploding in the next 2 years.
Yeah. What do y'all think about non-conference getting thrown out?
See, here, I think that's a possibility. I think what we also do, because there's nothing else for us to discuss, is what we have in front of us is what ifs. That doesn't mean if there were 14 major league games tonight and the NBA were in the playoffs that we still wouldn't bring it up. But there's really not much else to discuss, and so we're almost like looking at a calendar. And it is June the 25th. It's like a month has blown by. Just boom. For us, it's been like 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, it might get much worse. Much worse. And probably in some cases, in certain places will. But I still think that let's see where we are on like July 15th.
All right, we'll see in a couple weeks.
And we might be worse. It might be worse. At the same time, we might have to get worse to get better.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Texas continues on the trend that it's on right now, by July 15th, see what it's like. Because if we're hitting 6,000 for the first time today, or excuse me, it was 5,996 cases that are brand new today in the state of Texas alone, and we're going up every day. So by then, we'd be looking at closing in on like 7, 8, 9, 10,000 cases daily. And obviously, we wouldn't just not react to that. So, yeah, let's see where it is in about 3 weeks from now.
I'm not predicting it won't be a possible, like, doubled. I'm just saying that, even some of the worst areas eventually got to the curve.
Right. What I'm saying is that something's going to have to change here in the state of Texas in between now and then, because what's going on currently can't just remain the way that it is, because we're looking straight ahead at going straight back into lockdown.
Yeah.
Legitimately. Like, people can laugh that off, and rest assured our governor will wait to the very last second before doing that. But that's a legitimate possibility if this does not start to slow down a little bit. And, there's all sorts of reasons for why. But, yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the waiting. And I throw out the non-conference thing because I'm just curious what people think about that. Because, for me, I want every single game on the schedule. But if you're telling me I can get all the Big 12 games, but we have to wait one more month and we get no non-conference, okay, sorry, Ole Miss would have been cool. But
if you play 9 games, that's fine.
I'd much rather have all 9 of the conference games.
Yeah, played. No, if you have to give up one or the other, you'd rather do that. Let's go over a couple of the other sports headlines. Chris Woodward named Lance Lynn the Rangers opening day starter.
Was that I know that wasn't a surprise, but I don't know. I didn't think that was an automatic number 1, but okay.
I think part of it is just that, he had such a good year. I thought you mean with fair. Mike Minor, Mike Minor and
Kluber.
And Corey Kluber.
Yeah,
I mean, all there.
I think that's a guy coming back. It's not like Corey Kluber. Kluber's won how many Cy Youngs?
Has he won at least one? Yeah, but he also is coming off that broken arm, right. So he wouldn't have been.
Lynn was here last year, and that doesn't mean if he was like just some spare. But I think it's great that we're even debating who else it could have been
with a 60-game kind of sprint to the finish, which is what this is going to be. Maybe you just go ahead and set up your rotation as if it's a playoff thing right now. So if Lance Lynn would be the first guy in a playoff series, let's go and see what it's like right now, because I do think that they would go in the playoffs. When I think about it, they would go either Lynn or Kluber. Minor would be the second guy because usually your lefty, unless he's your ace, is going to be your second guy. So you make the lineup turn around a little bit. So your top three are going to be that, and then look, Jordan Lyles and I'm leaving. They've got a pretty. I mean, their pitching staff is.
Well, all we've heard all offseason is they're supposed to be very strong pitching wise.
Now, offensively, Gallo's got to stay healthy. They need the same out of Shin-Soo Choo that they've been getting. Rougned Odor has to be somewhat consistent. Elvis Andrus will be Elvis Andrus, but they've got some positions of need for sure.
All right, so that was the story with Lance Lynn. NBA would have had their draft today, which would have been interesting because that means we also would have known who the NBA champion was.
And we know where potentially some Baylor guys were going.
Yep.
But now instead we're still waiting to hear if they're going to go or not.
Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame announcing that they'll combine the 2020 and 2021 classes and enshrine together perhaps next summer when that normally would have happened the first week in August in Canton, Ohio. That game, of course, Cowboys and Steelers, has also been pushed back to next year on August the 5th.
Yeah, couldn't care less about the game itself. The Hall of Fame ceremony now having a double up when you were already going to have the largest Hall of Fame ceremony ever this year is just going to be
Why not have it
remotely?
Like, well, here's the deal. You want to have it in Canton, Ohio.
No, I get that, yeah.
So that I was going to say, why not have it like during the NFC or like on Championship Sunday?
Well,
you got to have it where it's located. It's in Canton, Ohio.
And they've just done all these expansions, and the whole area there is a whole new
They just reopened,
campus.
yeah.
So they did all these things where it's not just that one building now, it's a whole
And
campus.
I wonder, I mean, however many inductees there are this year, I'm not even sure.
20.
20, okay.
Yeah.
So 20, and then if you had that's a big amphitheater setting. You could socially distance and do it, but I know it's not the same as having all the fans there, and you'd have to limit the number of people you could invite. So I get it, but
celebrations are erupting at Anfield after Liverpool ended a 30-year title drought.
Yeah, this is good news for the Cowboys and the Redskins and any team that used to be great. Like Liverpool was they're kind of the comparison because they won in 1990.
Man City lost to Chelsea. Liverpool clinches their first Premier League title in 30 years.
Yeah, and Liverpool didn't have to. I mean, they did. I mean, they had to play well, but that's how the Premier League is set up in that, there's not an actual championship game. It's just based on points.
Yeah, Premier League's awesome. I think it's a really cool concept, and obviously it's been around for forever, but yeah, safe to say those Corona numbers are going to go up in Liverpool probably because they're not gonna not rush the streets and tear everything down in celebration when they've had to wait that long.
They have 7 games left in the league.
Yeah.
See, I know this is amazingly popular. It's huge. But I get lost in how many of these leagues and titles and games, and I get lost in which one counts
So
and
this
which
isn't,
ones don't.
This isn't Champions League. They're the champions of the English Premier League, and then you've got your La Liga out of Spain, and you've got German soccer. I can't even think of the name right now, but their federation, and then you get into your Champions League with all the best teams from the best leagues across Europe, and it's a cool concept and a cool setup, but for Liverpool to win the English Premier title, I mean, gosh, 1990.
Yeah,
that's
30
forever
years
ago.
They had won 18 and now have had a 30-year drought, very similar to, again, like you said, the Cowboys. The PGA Tour is in Cromwell, Connecticut. Mackenzie Hughes nearly did something today that's rare. Shot 60, shot a 29 on the front 9, a 31 on the back 9. And this was a tournament that there were thoughts that after yesterday there might be some possibilities they don't play. But he shot a 60 today.
I've been staring at this TV just because it's something that's on, but I've not been able to actually obtain any info. I'm just kind of staring at it.
Yeah. McElroy, Schauffele, Victor Hovland, the kid from Oklahoma State that's so good. Mickelson, 6 under. The others I mentioned were 3 under.
Sergio, 6 under.
Yeah.
Louis Oosthuizen, 6 under. By the way, Craig,
Spieth, I think, was 4 under last I saw.
It just occurred to me today that we could turn the TV on and watch live sports in our little studio here but there weren't any on until last week. We could have done the same thing with with what I guess the last 2 weeks of golf, it just now occurred to me today to turn it on and put some sports on.
It makes a difference.
Well, it's because we're not used to having anything on. You're right. Yeah. All right. Also, John Swofford's going to retire as ACC commissioner after the upcoming school year.
What a time to get out of Dodge. Be like, look, I'm done. I'm dealt with enough.
Matthew Baldwin's not going to play anymore. TCU's backup quarterback.
Yeah.
He's had injuries. Even the Ohio State transfer played at Lake Travis.
I didn't get to ask Max this question. I know that when I was talking to a TCU fan a while back, the thought was with Baldwin that he could come in and be a guy for them. Obviously with Ohio State interest and signing with them, he just got caught up in Justin Fields being there already and obviously not a path to the starting quarterback spot. But I didn't realize, I guess, that his injuries had added up that quickly for him to where he was already at the point of wanting to retire. Yeah. So what looked like it was going to be a really good potential transfer pickup for TCU is now not going to be a really impactful at all.
Well, and Max Duggan's going to be the quarterback there anyway. So
Willie Cauley-Stein is the latest NBA player. Mavericks. Willie Cauley-Stein will skip the NBA's restart in Disney. Also, I haven't read this. I just saw Amazon secured the naming rights for Seattle's downtown arena that will house the new NHL team
and the WNBA
as well as
team.
the
Sorry, I didn't want to.
He wanted to make sure and get the WNBA
make sure
in
it was
there.
in there. I gotta
what in the hell?
He wants to make sure get his sport in there.
I've been painted negatively for too long.
Not anymore after that. Company's name will not appear anywhere on the building. Instead of the arena, it will be called Climate Pledge Arena.
How Seattle of them.
Oh, my God.
To go Climate Pledge Arena with the name. And there's a lot of Seattle
How about
fans.
they call it Autonomous Zone?
I'll tell you.
The Chaz.
This is a really interesting idea that they're going to try to do here. It's going to be completely carbon neutral, which means it's all going to be electric, which my question is, what's the backup generator situation going to be like there? If they have, and they don't have a lot of, they don't have rolling blackouts in Seattle like they do in California, but you're going to have a time where the power's going to go out. And if you're just running on juice, you don't have anything backing it up. But all the concessions, 75% of the concessions will be locally sourced foods from farms and things locally.
Can't wait for that $7.50 large soy milk that they'll be serving.
Okay, there are not going to be any single-use plastic bottles or anything like that. All their garbage is going to be sustainable. I'm leaving something out. Oh, the ice for the Zamboni, for the NHL team, will be reused rainwater, and they'll have and they get plenty of rain in Seattle, so the rain will come in and fill up this tank underneath the stadium, and that's the water that they will use to ice the arena.
I mean, that seems like a lot, but I think it's kind of cool. I mean, I think it's cool if you can have the type of money to be able to, save energy and do things naturally. I think that's a great thing. I'm all for that.
I'm a big, let's save the environment person. I hope that this, they say it's going to be expensive to do. I think the experiment is we're going to spend a lot of money to show you don't have to spend a lot of money to open it up. But again, Amazon's going to pump all the money into it. So it's not like,
Isn't it amazing how all the best stuff for us is also the most expensive?
Yeah.
Healthy food, healthy snacks are all always like $2-3 higher than a Snickers bar or whatever. I'm not trying to really alienate Snickers, but there's the first candy that came to mind.
Yeah.
Thanks to TJ, thanks to Carl, and also Leon for being a part of the Riverbend Liquor and Wine hotline, text line today.
Vince Carter also retired officially, so salute to Vinsanity, calling it a career after 22 seasons.
All right.
He was a Maverick at one point and was also a Spur, right?
He's been everywhere.
I just saw a video on Twitter. I didn't get to look at it. I'm going to watch it later. But it's a guy who's a Vince Carter fan who has every single Vince Carter jersey.
Oh, he's got a lot of them then. Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we'll have a couple of more notes to close it out on a day we started with Doug Williams, and we finished with this coming up next on SicEm365 Radio.
Well, I have to tell you that we're pretty proud here at Pickup Outfitters. The mayor of the city of Waco chose to deputize Pickup Outfitters into the Waco Mask Police Force. Now, we weren't necessarily looking to be deputized. We've been pretty busy fighting truck nudity, but hey, we're law-abiding citizens. citizens. The threat of a $1,000 fine if we didn't join the mask police force also had something to do with it. So please bring your mask with you to Pickup Outfitters. And if you don't have one, we'll provide one previously unused. And we have a couple of other requests. First, wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose but not your eyes, especially when driving to Pickup Outfitters. Second, we do have hand sanitizer, which you are welcome to use on your hands. Do not try to drink our hand sanitizer. Even if you add orange juice, it's still not a mimosa. And third, we have everything you need to outfit your naked truck. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check us out online at createacommotion.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion. And I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize